What's going on? What's going on? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the live. I normally get on here and I don't generally have a topic, and I let the audience pick, but today I figure I'd do one of those things I see a lot of other people on TikTok doing when it comes to like whatever topic they're interested in or whatever topic their page is about. So I figure I'd do the same or something similar. Oh well, thank you for the follow, Jay Hamilton. Thank you for the follow. Tell me you have money without telling me. What? Why do you think? Why do you think I have money? I don't have much money, but why? Why do you think I have money? Can we talk about how I became a lizard bot? We cannot. What are your pronouns? He, him. Yeah, those male ones. But yes, as an initiated occultist and witch, New Age spirituality is absolute nonsense. It's absolute shit. And paranormal research, at least when it comes to ghost hunting and exorcisms and the ghost hunters version of demonology and things like that, it's absolute shit. And that's what I see a lot of when I search on witch talk or occult talk. I see a lot of new age nonsense, and I see a lot of paranormal nonsense. And so hopefully we can get some of them in here. Some of these new agers who think they can channel these interdimensional beings like the Galactic Federation or the Arcturian Council or the Palladian Defense Alliance or some nonsense like that. And they charge people hundreds of dollars, to contact your spirit guides or something stupid like that, without doing any actual legitimate spiritual methods, and people fall for it. So hopefully we get some of them in here. But thank you guys for joining. Just bucket my head. Yeah, so hopefully we get some New Agers or some ghost hunters in here. And if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. That's normally what my lives are. My lives are normally a question and answer type of a thing. I'll have like a topic up, like necromancy or witchcraft, sorcery, spell casting, ritual work, divination, whatever. And usually it's sort of like a question and answer type thing. But are the Anunnaki part of the New Age? Not really. I mean, well, they're used within the New Age, yes, but I mean, so is like Buddha and Jesus and Krishna. They have like the cosmic Christ, and they have all these like ascended masters, which are really just gods taken from other cultures. So I mean, the Anunnaki is mentioned and utilized within a lot of New Age sort of cosmic thought. But no, they're not part of they're not like a New Age invention. But welcome back, Balagoria. Glad to have you here, man. Welcome. Yeah, I believe they're from the Sumerian mythos. You have very authentic looking eyebrows. Brush or pencil? Neither. They're very real. They're real hair, as you can see. They're actual hair. I haven't gotten them done in a while, but I usually get them waxed. But they're very real. You can see the other one. They're actual hairs. So no frauds. No nothing. Nothing fake about me. So real hair. I just get them waxed, or at least before the pandemic. I'm surprised that they kept shape for all this for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Because I was sent home from my company to work from home in March of 2020. Yeah. So agreed. With my real hair. What do you mean you agreed? Um, or do you agree with what I'm saying up here, that the New Age spirituality is absolute nonsense, and so is paranormal research? And I'm hoping I get some New Agers on here um, who can debate, who are willing to come on as like a guest request and present foundational theories for the New Age or the paranormal side. Although the paranormal doesn't really have any foundation. Um, but hey, thank you for the follow, Portia. Thank you for the follow. If you guys know any New Agers, share this with them. Share this with your New Age friends. I want to debate a New Ager or a paranormal researcher, like a ghost hunter or something like that, or an exorcist. If we can get an exorcist, like this one guy I follow, Bob Larson. He's like, and he's a total fraud. You could watch his videos and you can see that he's a total fraud. And if you happen to catch him live, oh my God, you can see that he's a fraud. Just the way he tries to coax people into like acting out and acting weird and using that as proof, as like, oh look, they're possessed and this is me, pulling the demon out of them. Oh my God, Bob Larson Exorcist or something like that is his page here on TikTok, and he's a very nonchalant exorcist as well. He's not like into it. He's just like, what's your name, demon? What's your name? Come out of there. Come out of there in the name of Christ. I compel you. Here's a cross. Come on out. There's no like oomph behind it. He's just like, I don't know. It's a little weird for me. But yeah, he's an exorcist, and I believe he's Catholic. Um, I don't know of any other denominations that generally feature exorcists, but yeah, if someone like him could come in the chat and debate, that would be great. Share this with your New Age friends. Share this with those cosmic channelers, those paradigm shifters, the, I don't know, awakeners, and all that nonsense. And let's see if they can debate with an actual occultist. This seems to be quite simple on places like Reddit or forums and stuff like that, where no one can see each other and things like that. But because people think that debating means that we hate each other, like debates for some reason, like we've gotten to this culture where nobody wants to offend each other. Nobody wants to say nobody wants to say anything because it might offend them and it might hurt their feelings. And I can see that sort of thing if there's actual like anger and hatred. But if it's just like a disagreement of whatever spiritual beliefs, morality, whatever philosophies, whatever, you should be able to. Sorry, there's a bug on me. You should be able to have debates, healthy debates, and they might even get heated, and be civil. It doesn't mean that I dislike you or that I hate you and that I want you to die and all this other stuff. But people seem to have that mentality that like debating means you're getting attacked and things like that. So. I doubt that anybody in the New Age but we'll see. I leave it open. What's your favorite thing about the occult? What is my favorite thing about the occult? The ability to discover those things that are hidden, those things that are occult, and being able to learn one's true place within the universe, one's true cosmological place. without the need for dogma and religion, and for it to actually make sense esoterically. Let's see. The bullshitters, don't forget them. Well, they're all bullshitters, so I lump them all into the same category. Hello, Hail Satan, buddy. Yes, I mean I'm not a Satanist, but hail whatever God you prefer to go through. Lots of offending going on in many quarters, though. What do you mean? Oh, you mean about people getting offended? Yes, that is true. But when it comes to debates, very rarely is it like a personal thing. Very rarely do two people who personally don't like each other get into a debate. Or if that does happen, it's generally like famous people, and it's like a behind the scenes thing, and it's their teams trying to generate buzz and make money for whatever reason. So there's an album coming out or a movie coming out or a TV show that they need to promote, or just whatever, for whatever reason this famous person needs to be in the news. But in like the internet sphere, the streaming sphere, it's very rarely do two people who really have personal issues come to a debate. So people shouldn't get offended because someone doesn't agree or presents points that are counter to whatever you believe, especially if those points make sense. You should be able to defend whatever it is that you believe. Christ or absurdity. What do you mean? The hidden stuff. Yes, that's what occult means. Hidden knowledge. Embrace the mystery, say the Mysterians. I'm not sure what that means. The comments are often behind you or ahead, depending on where you are. Oh shoot! They brought up a comment. Sorry, I don't want to comment to that person. Let me back out of there. All right. Yeah. So while I doubt it'll happen, I'm open to debating a New Ager, or mainly I would love to debate like one of those channelers, like those people who think that they can channel or who claim to be able to channel like the Galactic Federation and stuff like that. I would love to do. Have you seen Lovecraft Country? Yes, I saw Lovecraft Country. I watched that. Very interesting, and a very unique way of portraying those Lovecraftian entities. So, are Freemasons bad? From my experience, I see everyone calling them bad. I mean, that's like a conspiracy thing. Most Freemasons, no, are not bad, no. But once you get beyond 33 degrees, and you start to learn, the real mysteries and things like that, things can get a little Luciferian. So if you don't agree with that ideology, I guess you can see them as negative. But no, Freemasonry is generally not. No, most Freemasons are not bad, and most Freemasons don't really know what goes on at the higher levels. Kind of, it's sort of like, and like, it seems that a lot of people can't understand that concept, that like if you are a Freemason, no matter what level you are, you understand the entire thing. That's not true. I mean, like, I work for a major multi-billion-dollar company. I only know what goes on in my department, and I barely know that. I have no idea what's going on in legal, what's going on in finance, or what's going on in IT, because I don't work over there, and I really don't know anybody well enough to really have them explain to me what's going on over there. And chances are, neither do you. If you work for a large enough company, chances are you really only know what's going on in your own work area, your own department, and that's really about it. If I were to say, well, tell me all the secrets of HR, if you don't work in HR, you probably wouldn't know. So why would a Freemason who's at level 3, why would he know what's going on at level 20? He or she wouldn't know. So most of them don't really know what's going on any level beyond what they already are, allowed to be privy to. So most of them are not evil and are just doing charitable things and things like that, and they just meet and just hang out and smoke cigars and play chess or whatever. So let's see here. Jesus loves you. Have a great day. Have a great day. Thank you for that. Freemasonry is really religion. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, so at the lower levels, no. But as I said, once you get past the 33rd degree and you find out, how that sort of thing is really set up, and then you discover the Luciferianism, I guess in that aspect it becomes a religion. But at the lower levels, they claim to let you be able to follow your own religion. Um, so, which I guess can be seen as an aspect of Luciferianism. But yeah. I think I think modern age Freemasons are just social clubs for old men to get away from their wives. Yeah, that's a lot of it. Yes, I won't argue with that. But there is definitely an occult aspect to Freemasonry. There is a religious aspect to Freemasonry. So it's just, you may or may not know these things if you're a Freemason, if they don't teach or practice those things at the level that you're on. My mom is mad at me because she walked in on me and my sister effing in the bedroom, but she did not. Well, that's a boundaries issue with you and your mom. You have to let her know. She has to knock. I came to debate. I agree with you. But I agree with you. Amiga, what's going on, Mexican chimp? Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you know any New Agers, or if you know any paranormal researchers, paranormal investigators, and specifically when I'm talking about paranormal research, or paranormal or the paranormal, unless I say otherwise, I'm specifically talking about ghost hunting and hauntings and demons and exorcisms and things like that. When it comes to the paranormal, I realize that the paranormal encompasses a lot of things like cryptids and cryptozoology and all that stuff, and I'm not talking about any of that. I'm specifically talking about ghost hunting and hauntings and stuff like that when I talk about the paranormal, unless I say otherwise. So I thought a male witch was a warlock. That term isn't really used anymore. I guess a person is free to call themselves whatever they want. So I guess, yes, you can call yourself a warlock if you want. But most men don't really call themselves warlocks. They really just call themselves witches. Or if you are part of, or I mean, you're free to call yourself whatever you want. But normally, most practitioners of occultism that are men call themselves witches, or if they are part of a specific grouping or a specific tradition, then they might call themselves like a magician or a magus or a sorcerer or a shaman or something along those lines. And then depending on system and tradition, and if you receive a licencia, you might be able to receive like a title. So like Hunganaswoge or Santero or Kimadero, things like that. So Bolero. So it just depends. What is New Age? New Age is this modern day. It's like born out of like Christian Science. It's like this modern day syncretization of like Christian Science and Hermeticism and some Vedic and some Gnosticism, all in one pot. And they call it spirituality, where they believe in this, crystals, this like crystal healing and this like sound healing and this, channeling of interdimensional cosmic beings for some reason or another, without doing anything, just sitting there and going, okay, you want to talk to the aliens one moment, and they just they're instantly connected. No ritual, no getting into any altered state of consciousness, no, just boom, instant contact. And yeah, that's the New Age. So how do you feel about machine elves? You mean the things that you see when you are supposedly, or not supposedly, the things that you supposedly see when you take DMT and then you actually take off? Because I do understand that there's also a chance for you to smoke DMT and then not actually take off. So you have like a mild experience, but you don't actually get that rocket, you know, ship feeling where you're like blasting off. But if you do blast off, then most people do report seeing the machine elves. I have never smoked DMT. I do have a friend who has it, but we have yet to smoke it together. He always says, "Yeah, sure." Like whenever I ask him, like, we need to smoke it together, he's like, "Yeah, sure, sure." But like it never actually happens. So whatever. But I don't have any. I mean, since I've never met them or anything, I don't really have any like feelings toward them or anything like that. So, what is the topic of the debate, for or against? Well, it's against New Age spirituality and against paranormal research. Essentially, I'm advocating for the introduction of actual esoteric, occult, and mystical study into the New Age and paranormal research because those things are actually occult. If someone has actual occult knowledge and you understand occultism, you would understand that the New Age cannot exist by itself, and how it exists currently is not sustainable. And most New Agers eventually feel feels lost or burnt out because after you've raised your vibration, after you've activated your light codes, whatever that means, after you've activated your latent DNA, whatever that means, after you've contacted your ascended masters, which is that amalgamation that I talked of earlier, that Hermeticism and the Vedism and the Gnosticism all in one pot, look at ascended masters and you'll see that that's true. After you've contacted your spirit guides, after you've raised your vibration, so after you've done those 6 things, what do you do next? And you could do those 6 things if, assuming that all 6 of those things are legitimate practices, you can accomplish those things in 6 months to a year. Now what? Now after that year, you're some spiritual master, or are you supposed to keep going in circles and doing those things over and over and over again? No. There's a vast well of occult knowledge and information out there that the New Age not only doesn't know about, but blocks themselves off purposely from not only studying that information, but even knowing that it exists. The New Age and the paranormal both do not have any sort of promotion of continued education. Let's put it that way. There's no promotion of furthering your knowledge beyond what you're learning right now. While they don't verbally say, this is all you need, you don't need anything else, of course not. They don't verbally say it. There is no promotion of continuing your knowledge. And a perfect example of this, and you can prove this to yourself, if you have any New Age books, prove me wrong, but you could look inside of a New Age book, go to the table of contents. There is no bibliography. A bibliography is more than just a reference that the author used to not bullshit, and so that way you know that that they know what they're talking about. It's also used for you to study other concepts other than what this book is about. This book might be about scrying, but it might have mentioned bone reading and how some African tribes and some South American tribes might use the bones for doing divination, and you might have an interest in that. And because they mention that in the book, that is in the bibliography with titles and pages and authors and publishers for you to go and study. And now you have 3 or 4 books that you can now go and, buy or download or whatever and study bone reading on. You just furthered your education. You continued your education on something that you didn't even know existed before you read this book. The New Age doesn't do that. You read a book on channeling, and if you go to the back, if there is something in the back promoting something, it's the author's own stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with promoting your own work. But first of all, where are you getting your info from? Oh, it was all channeled. It was all channeled. So no one can verify it. No one can vet it. We have to, it's either take it or leave it. That's a very New Age thing. That's like a thing that they say, take it or leave it. And that's absolute nonsense. You should be able to back up what you say. So it's either take it or leave it. And there's no promotion of taking your information and building upon it and going further with it. And that's absolute shite. So, yeah. Let's see here. Not you saying this after I just ordered my first crystals. I'm sorry. The crystals aren't useless, but they're not this all healing, meditate with them, power boosters that the New Age tries to make it seem. What's your stance on chaos magic? I don't mind it. It's a legitimate form of magic. I don't practice really any system of chaos magic. My issue with chaos magic is that it has this, you can do anything you want. Like you can there are people who use chaos magic to like invoke like gods from like video games or comic books and movies and things like that, believing the whole archetype of like a global consciousness, because there are millions of people who are focused on these creatures or these gods or these whatever these characters. It makes them real on the astral plane, and so therefore they should be able to contact them. They go with that notion, and I don't necessarily gel with that, not because it might not be a legitimate method, but it's, if you have access to an ancient deity or an ancient spirit that's been around for 5,000 years and can do the job that this Marvel character can do that's only been around for 60 years, why would you go to the Marvel character when this guy over here has been doing it for 5,000 years? Like, you would go to the one who's been doing it for longer because they know what they're doing. Like, you shouldn't go after, because, oh, the Marvel character is the cool one, and like, that's, you shouldn't be after, like, you shouldn't be doing it for aesthetics. You should be going after the results and the efficiency of the spirit to get whatever it is that you want done, not because it's cool and hip. So I don't like chaos magic, mainly for those reasons. But it is a legitimate system. I just don't practice it myself. You still need crystals, tools to manifest. That is correct. I'm new to spirituality. No problem. We were all new at one point. That's why I do this, because I remember what it was like to come in. I mean, my first year, I didn't have a teacher. Now, yes, I did get lucky, and I was able to find a teacher, a physical teacher. It wasn't some internet thing, a physical teacher that I could actually physically ask questions to, who spent 4 years training me and then initiated me, into the craft. So I was only without instruction for about a year. But then when I went away to college and I kind of left that coven, I had to learn Grimtrad on my own. I had to learn the ATRs and the ADRs on my own. I had to learn most of the necromantic practices that I know on my own. I learned ancestor veneration during my time with the coven, but anything beyond that, fetish work, the seeding of spirits, God forming and all that sort of thing, or idol forming, I should say, idol creation, I had to learn that on my own. So I know what it's like to have to sift through bullshit and sift through nonsense before you can find information that's workable and useful. So that's why I do this, because I know what it was like. And I got taken advantage of, so I don't, and it's not a good feeling. So I like to correct the misinformation that's out there, so others are not swindled and duped. And even if it's not financially, even if it's just like a time thing, even if it's because you read something from spellsofmagic.com and you thought that's how it worked for the last 2 years. So really, you wasted 2 years of your life thinking that occultism and magic worked one way when really it worked another. So in that sense, you got duped and swindled because you wasted time, not money, but it was time and energy and resources into doing things that don't really have any reward at the end, because it's really doing nothing. So that's why I do what I do. Oh wow, thank you for the follows, guys. Do you know anything about people who have experienced shadow people? Well, yes, I've experienced shadow people. I really thought most people experienced, because when I Googled it, it was like, yeah, almost everyone has this. So I thought it was like a really common thing. I haven't had it in years. Like, it's been like 4 years since I've had like a shadow person experience. But yeah, I mean, I've had a shadow experience multiple times. So do you have any like specific questions or anything? Is it true that posting here is without some form of yesterday's feast? Swedish? I am not sure what that means. I am sorry. There is so much Orientalism and intelligence, even pop occult stuff like theosophy. I would agree with that. Although I don't. I mean, would theosophy be considered pop occult? I would say more modern things like I'm trying to think of like a popular, like spirit keeping would be like pop occult. Like, I would think that would be like a pop occult group. God bless. Jesus Christ loves you. Have a blessed day. Well, thank you. You have a blessed day. Oh my God, you like Uma Compton. I don't know who that is. What's your opinion on black feminism? I don't have an opinion because this is an occult page. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. God bless Jesus Christ. Love you. Have a blessed day. You said that already, but you're back. Is it? Do you want me to have a blessed day or not? Like, have you read Franz Fanon? I've read Franz Bardon. I have all of Bardon's books, but I don't know who Franz Fanon is. I'm not sure who that is. I'm sorry. It's been years for me too. For the shadow people, yeah, it's been a while. But honestly, when the experiences happened for me with the shadow people, I was never really scared. Um, Honestly, I just like the experience would happen, and I would wake up and be like, okay, that happened, and then I'd go back to sleep. I would never be like, and like, be afraid. And it never happened when I was a kid. It only happened in my adult life, which is interesting because it never happened when I had someone there to show me how to protect myself. It was only when I was on my own and I started dabbling in like, you know what? Now that I think about it, it started happening when I started to first dabble in Grimtrad and I had no idea what I was doing. And I showed, if you guys were here on the live last night, I showed my my Circle of Solomon. Like, well, I showed my table of practice, but I show that on almost every live. But the big circle, my 12-foot circle, I tried to show you. I mean, I can't fit 12 feet on the screen, but like I tried to show you guys. And so when I was building that, I was using that to try to contact spirits physically, so that way they would appear physically, which I know now is not really possible. Although some people have claimed, and Equating has claimed, but then that's with incense and all that. So, but anyway, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, but when I was dabbling in that and not really knowing what I was doing and trying to get the manifestations to work and nothing was happening, that's when I started having shadow people experiences. And then I discovered the Rufus Opus methods of spirit evocation, and I got that streamlined. And I would still have contact or experiences, but they were like sporadic, and they never scared me. But now that I think about it, that's around the time when I started dabbling in Grimtrad, and didn't really know what I was doing because I didn't have anybody to like show me. So that was trial by fire. So, and now that I think back on it, I realize that those shadow experiences were probably part of that fire. What are they? Why did they visit me? I cannot answer that question for you. I'm sorry. That's something that you would have to discover on your own. I'm not sure. And I don't think, I really don't think, because the shadow beings, they don't speak, they don't talk. So, like, even if we can initiate contact, they don't talk. So, like, no one's ever, like, initiated communication with one. And any stories that I've ever heard that even people even remotely suggest that they've achieved communication, it's like some creepy pasta, or no sleep type of a thing. It's not a real account. It's just a scary story. So I don't know. I can't answer why they came to you. I don't know. I'm sorry. Do you believe in the law of attraction? In a way, yes, I do. But I believe it's more than just having a positive thought and if you want a Ferrari, put a picture of a Ferrari up on your wall and look at it every day. I mean, millions of people do that and don't have any, their lives just go on about the same, like, so. I think it's more than just thinking positive and being positive and having a vision board or a dream board and all that other stuff. So, like, speaking of that, I remember when The Secret first came out on like Netflix, because the book has been out since like the 90s, but when the thing on Netflix came out about it, that's when like it really hit mainstream, like blew up for real. And it was like a few months. It was like all over YouTube, all these videos on how to do the law of attraction, how to get it to work for you, blah 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 blah. And then literally overnight, the videos, like the tone, like everything just changed. It went from how to do the law of attraction and how it all works to why the law of attraction is not working for you, why the law of attraction doesn't work, what's going on, why is your law of attraction like failing. Like, it went from this is the greatest superpower the world's ever known to for some reason everyone's reporting that this stuff doesn't work. and now we have to make videos on why. And so there's all these creators putting out content on why it's not working, and it's like, well, does it work or does it not? And if it doesn't, then there should be a pretty uniform reason, and I shouldn't have 50 million different reasons as to why it's not working. So, have you read Jason Liu's Empire of Angels about John Dee and the British imperialism? I have not read any of his books. I do know of his Occult podcast, and I have listened to a few episodes, but I don't really listen to him extensively. But I do know of him. But no, I have not read any of his books. I have not. Thank you for the follow. Where is the first place to start if you want to start learning about the occult? Well, that's always hard because I don't like modern day books. I like the older stuff, and the older stuff is the boring stuff, and no one really likes to read the boring stuff because it's dry and boring and stuffy. And so I would say if you want a good book, you can do Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. That's a good book. You can do Practical Sigil Magic by Frater UD, I believe. Frater UD. Those two books. Yeah, I would just say start there. And then after you read those two books and you get a good handle on that, so sigils, which are very, very easy, anybody can start with that. Like, you can literally start doing sigils tonight, like with literally nothing other than like your mind, a pen and paper, or your phone or tablet or whatever, and some sexual desire. You'll be able to cast some sigils tonight. There's other methods, but I find the sex one the easiest one. And after you read those two books, then you can get to one of the more older, stuffy books. You can do the 3 books of occult philosophy. So I say start there. That's where I'd start. Practical Sigil Magic. Well, yes, there you go. Practical Sigil Magic. Thank you, Crystal Baroman. Thank you, Crystal Baroman. Thank you for the follow. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you for taking some time out of your Monday. I'm off today, or else I'd be at work right now. And I wouldn't be able to get on until tonight. But it's some special holiday or something like that, so I'm off. Whatever. And also, this game, Back for Blood, I'm gonna switch topics for just a moment. This video game, Back for Blood, it's like a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead series, which I used to play like years ago back on Xbox 360. Left 4 Dead was I was a huge fan of that game, and so they're coming out with a new one, and it's called Back for Blood, and it'll be released at midnight tonight. So I'm gonna play that as well. I heard like battle sounds and metal clanging when I saw them. Oh wow, sheesh! Battle sounds and metal clanging. When I had my experiences, the only time I ever heard anything was when. So it was if I got to see the shadow people, then I didn't hear anything. If I could see them, then I didn't hear anything. But if I couldn't see anything, if I could just feel, something touching me or whatever, but I couldn't see anything, then I could hear. So some of my experiences would be, I would be lying in bed, and there was one, when it first started happening, I was like 19, 20 years old, and so I had lived at home with my parents, and my bed, I had a pretty big bedroom, so my bed was in the middle of like the room, like in the middle, so like I had room on either side, even though it was just me. I had room on either side, and so I was sleeping, and I would feel like somebody was like sitting on like my back, because I was a stomach sleeper. So I would feel like somebody was like sitting on my back, and I try to wake up, or I'd feel like I'd wake up, and I didn't see anybody, but I would hear like a little girl like running around the perimeter, or like the outside of like my bed, and I'd be like, what the hell? And then one time, whatever it was, like picked up my hand as I was sleeping, and then it just dropped it. There was that, but I didn't see anything, and yeah, I like the only thing I ever heard was the little girl laughing. I never heard like metal clangs or battle sounds or anything like that. Um, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. That's the holiday. That's what I'm all for. Indigenous Peoples Day. Happy Indigenous Peoples Day. And it is amazing that you guys, if you are Indigenous, I'm assuming that's why you're saying it. If you are Indigenous, it's amazing that you guys are getting the recognition that you have been denied for so long. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? I'm doing very well, Cristobal Roman. Cristobal Roman. Wait, okay, it's Cristobal Roman. There you go. Do you believe in a creator? I do believe in a creator. I do not believe in spontaneous, a poof appeared here. I don't believe in evolution in the sense of like we came from monkeys. Obviously, evolution is scientifically a thing, but like we did not come from a monkey, or that's absolutely ridiculous. But yes, I do believe in a creator. Do you play on Xbox One? I do play on Xbox One. Most New Age was invented by the Victorians. A lot of paranormal comes from Victorian era spiritualism. So like a lot of the stuff that people do in the paranormal, which I guess you can lump in with the New Age, but I keep them separate because sometimes they don't mix. I do find people who are on the paranormal side who don't agree or who don't believe in channeling the Galactic Federation or any of this Anunnaki stuff. They just believe in ghosts, and aside from that, they're atheists or something like that. They don't believe in anything cosmic or anything. And I've met people on the New Age side who don't know anything or really care for any sort of ghost hunting or anything like that. So anyway, I know that a lot of paranormal practices, so like a lot of things that they do in ghost hunting comes from Victorian era spiritualism, which goes back to my issue or the issue that I have with both the New Age and the paranormal, that they don't know their own history. They don't know the foundations of where their own beliefs and practices come from, and that lack of understanding informs or does not inform their current practices, which has them running around doing absolutely nothing, which then informs their future, which they have none because they promote the lack of continued education, because they don't know that there's anything further out there, because they don't know where they came from. So, yeah, I actually have not met any, and it's not to say that they're not out there, because I haven't met every single paranormal person. But the few that I get a chance to talk to, like if I'm not live, but I'm like, say I'm at work and it's slow, and I'm going through my lives, or I'm going through my live feed, and I happen to come across someone doing like a paranormal whatever, and I get to be able to talk to them. Most of them have no idea. I've yet to come across one that knows anything about Kardec spiritualism or anything like that. So that's an issue. How do you feel about time magic? What do you mean time magic? Is Nephilim Press good for beginners? Yeah. I guess it depends on what book from Nephilim Press you're talking about. I don't have all of their books, but I have a nice chunk of their books. Depends on which ones you're talking about. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with them at all. All of the specialty and fine publishers are pretty beginner. Well, maybe not Aeon Sophia. Aeon Sophia is more, I don't know, that's more like intermediate to advanced stuff. And a lot of their stuff is like anti-cosmic, Luciferian, like sort of like satanic type stuff, like diabolism, stuff like that. Yeah. So, but yes, Nephilim Press is fine. It's just, I guess, whatever book you are specifically wanting, that would be the primary factor. I believe in Trump 2024, MAGA Biden for impeachment. Thank you for sharing that. Our ancestors were moles. Okay. A lot of European pagan people would also be mixed with Christianity heavily. Yes, that is very true. So shadow people is what I'm feeling during sleep paralysis. That's what that's the general consensus. Yeah, if you are if you are having sleep paralysis, it's shadow people. Because like, so I get that, scientifically what's happening is, your brain doesn't want you to start, trying to act out, things in your dream that hurt yourself or hurt others around you and blah, blah, blah. So it paralyzed. Okay. So scientifically, I get that's what happens. But what if you're dreaming about I don't know, you're in space and you're, just flying the spaceship, or I don't know, you're an underwater, mermaid, and you're just swimming through the sea. Why is that what you see in the dream world, but in the real world you see creepy shadow people? Like, you don't see anything even closely resembling to what was going on in your dream. You see creepy shadow people. Like, that's the waking world view of what you see. Like, how is that how does that mirror image work? That's why I don't like. So yes, I would agree with the during sleep, when sleep paralysis is happening, it's probably from shadow people. Um, yeah, and they're usually. I mean, I haven't seen any legitimate case of where shadow people are encountered in any other scenario, at least described in the same way that people who describe shadow people who experience sleep paralysis describe. Of course, there are shadows and things like that we experience all the time. But shadow people, I don't mean like shadowy silhouettes, but like shadow people, um, you generally experience them during sleep paralysis. So while correlation is not causation, or causation is not correlation, in this case, I think we can put it to the same. I had a roommate into New Age. She said shrooms gave her superpowers. Well, they didn't give her any superpowers in the physical realm, but they may have allowed her to open up and see what is available on the astral realm. So, chronomancy. I'm not. I don't know. Like you mean like time travel and stuff like that? I don't know. No. I think I don't think that's a magic thing. I think that's a science thing. I think if we're gonna figure out how to time travel, it's going to be because some scientists figured out how to open up a wormhole. I don't think with magic we can figure that out. Because and I know that a lot of conspiracy theorists say that, well, that's what they're doing down at CERN and blah blah blah. And I would argue that if they figured out how to open up portals, they would have done so already. They would have opened up the portal already, and we would know. Like, if like think I mean like we've all I mean I so I know that things don't happen like it does in the movies and blah blah blah, but we've all seen movies. We all know what happens when portals are open. If these globalists or whatever are really out here opening portals, things would be happening. Like, and nothing that hasn't happened in the past isn't happening now. So I don't. Yeah, I think portal opening and time travel and all that will be a science thing, not a magic thing. I want to travel back in time. I think everybody would like to travel back in time, but unfortunately, I'm looking at a book called Crystal Gazing. I have that book. I've showed that book. There was a live that was like the book that I was reading out here when I first started my live, like when I was live like a week ago. I have that book. It's a reprint of I think it was first published in 1905. So that's one of those like older books, which is excellent. I love my older books. I don't like the modern stuff. Um, and it is a treatise on different crystal gazing methods. It starts out with like the history of it and things like that, and different sort of techniques, and then it gets into a couple of actual methods of crystal gazing. Uh, I mean, it's good. It's not the best, but it's good. It's good. So I can talk to those on the other side. That's interesting. How do you engage in that? Would you be willing to discuss your methodology, how you engage in your contact of the other side? I believe in witchcraft. Good, because witchcraft is real. Are you Christian? I am not. Although I guess I could identify as like a Christian mystic, um, Christian mysticism or esoteric Christianity, being that I practice Grimtrad, which is an Abrahamic system of magic. And Abrahamism, pretty much only constitutes Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So I guess in that way, I'm an esoteric Christian or a Christian mystic. But in the traditional sense, no, I'm not. I'm not a Christian. AI and Sophia is satanic. Um, I don't think Sophia is satanic. Sophia just means wisdom, if I understand my Greek correctly. But AI, I mean, so I can see the arguments of why AI controlling things would be bad, but why is that satanic? And why does it have to be a Christian thing? Why can't it be Yanmaic, which is like the Chinese devil, or why can't it be Kaliak, the Vedic, like why does it have to be satanic? Why does it have to be the Christian? Why does that have to be what the worldview is when there's when there isn't just Orthodox Christianity. There's Orthodox Taoism. There's Orthodox Hinduism. There's Orthodox Buddhism. So I mean, there was an ancient church for many other religious paths. So even if AI is a bad thing, why does that bad thing have to be satanic? Why can't it be, the Mayan devil, or why can't it be the bad guy in, African, of religions? Why does it have to be satanic? So, sleep paralysis is demonic. Say the name of Jesus and it will go away. I have heard that, but I don't know of any actual I've heard that and I feel like that's propaganda. Kind of like how they say that when not Aleister Crowley, when Anton LaVey died, the founder of the Church of Satan, that when he died, he like had a crazy look on his face and he was like, "What have I done?" or something like that. And it's like I feel like that's all propaganda to get young kids to and it's not really said anymore. This was like back in like the 90s and early 2000s, like back when the internet was first like becoming a thing and information was and so witchcraft was starting to become more and more popular. So of course the satanic panics sort of happened again, although it wasn't as bad as it was in the 80s. So yeah, I don't think I don't think that that's an actual like thing. Like if you say the name of Jesus, that they go away. I have heard that, but I don't know if it's a real thing. And then even if that is true, if they go away because you say the name of Jesus, they shouldn't come back because they know that you're like a child of God or something like that, so they shouldn't come back. I live near a Christian church which has pagan imagery like Green Man and Sheila Nagate carvings. I'm sorry, I don't understand that. But, well, I do understand what you mean by Green Man. So the Celtic Green Man, which is actually the deity that I was dedicated to when I was learning witchcraft. Cernunnos and Caradwin, or Cernunnos and his Green Man aspect. So, yes, I do know of the Green Man. Did I hear you speak about Sophia, or did I mishear you? No, I was just, because you had said AI and Sophia is satanic, or someone said AI and Sophia is satanic. And so I was just saying, I don't think how Sophia, meaning wisdom, if I understand, if like my Greek is right, I don't understand how wisdom is satanic. Um, but I don't understand why AI has to be satanic. What is there? I am not sure. Hold on, I accidentally hit. Okay. God, why? Sleep paralysis is demons, not shadow people. Why would it be demons? How should I feel? Creatures lie here, looking through my window. Are you like trying to write a poem on my feed? Please don't showcase your poem, your poetry skills on my feed. You can start your own live feed for poetry. When I have sleep paralysis, I can only see darkness, but I can feel a presence around me. I can see everything just fine. I just can't, like, I can't communicate. So like if I were to yell out and say something, like it's just like a bunch of grunts, like like I can't say anything. Um, yeah, I've never really been not able to see. Um, yeah, I've never been not able to see. So I believe in witchcraft. Well, thank you for saying that again. Do you believe in witchcraft? I do, being that it says initiated occult witch, or occultist witch. Yes. Manipulation of the flow of time is a more common usage for magic. Oh, hold on, I hit something. A more common use for the magic. Science and magic can be intermingled. I do agree with that. I always say we should use the scientific method when doing magic. I've said that from the beginning. And I'm sure people like Balagoria, who's been in many of my lives, can attest to that. Um, Christian mysticism is great. Yes, I agree. So an atheist, right? I'm not an atheist. I misheard you. I sent that message a long time ago. I know. I'm sorry. I take a while to read these messages because I don't like to give generic answers. I don't like to just go, I see some people going through yes, no, yes, okay, uh-huh, I'm a this, I'm a that. And I'm like, that's stupid. Don't just blow through your questions. I like to show people that I'm not some armchair theorist. I'm not some LARPer, that this is really, like, I really do this shit. And so I spend time answering a question. I don't just give you some generic surface level answer, or at least I try not to. There are times when I don't know the answer and I have to, then I say, I don't know the answer. But um, I take a bit going through these questions because I give long answers. Because everything revolves around Christianity, apparently. Uh, oh, you're about the why everything has to be satanic? Yeah, yeah, I know. Church near me is 900 years old. Wow, that's awesome. Altruistic AI is real and is sandboxed. What do you mean by that? Are skinwalkers real? I don't know. I'm not. I see. I don't. My issue with cryptids is the same. Like, we live in a world where no matter what's going on, we pull out our phones to film a car accident, someone getting shot on the street, a fight in school, whatever, a pipe burst, avalanche, a forest fire, or like the California fires. People are driving away from literal death and they're filming. So we pull out our phones in literally every instance in our lives, danger included. But when we come across the Skinwalker, we don't pull it out. Now, I get if you come across Skinwalker directly in your face and he's like, "Wah," okay, you're not going to be like, please hold, let me get a picture. No. But I mean, the people who, might be taking a break from hiking real quick and they happen to look over to their left and off in the distance, they see Bigfoot or they see Chupacabra or they see some crazy creature. No one can get out their phone that's supposed to have this super crystal clear. I mean, Joe Rogan can zoom into the moon. He was zooming into the moon with his Samsung, but yet no one can get a crystal clear picture of any cryptid. They're all and the pictures that we do get today look like they were taken in the 1970s on a toaster. It's like, dude, it makes no fucking sense. I've seen professional photographers take pictures from miles away of air shows and shit like that and get like the pilot's reaction, like thumbs up and shit like that, but you can't get the Bigfoot that's up on the mountain, 20 feet up. That, like, I don't believe it. So no, I don't think the skinwalkers are real. I don't think, or at least in the way that they are solo creatures. Now there's a notion of them being actual Native American shamans and witches that can shapeshift, which, if we recall the Berserker conversation we had, I think on my live last night, we were talking about Berserkers in Norse shamanism, and how they can shapeshift in the astral. So in that sense, they may be real, but in the real sense, in the physical sense, like, oh, don't go in the woods and whistle, or don't go in the woods in Wyoming and say these three words, like those little trends were going around TikTok a few months ago. And no, I don't believe in any of that. I think I can go in the woods and say chuba dee dee and nothing's going to happen. So sorry, not to discount any Native American legends or anything like that, but I think that those are just legends, just stories to scare kids into being good, or whatever, just campfire stories, whatever. I don't think that there's any actual legitimacy to the physicality of a skinwalker. There's never been any legitimate cases of anybody finding those screaming people out in the woods, that, and then when you walk up on them, it's not a person, it's some creature. Nah, there's never been any real evidence of that. So, and of all the private property that consists of eight, I mean, like, take who's that guy, that billionaire who used to, or who owns TNT, Ted Turner. He owns like he's one of the largest landowners in the world, like in the world. and he owns like state size like amounts of land, and it's all private and it's all undeveloped. And you better believe that if a billionaire owns that land, there's cameras and things like that all throughout the woods and all throughout the forest. And these cameras have never caught anything. National parks and things have cameras at certain places. They've never caught anything. I mean, you can go on Google right now and view 99% of all CTV cameras around the world. None of these cameras have ever caught anything legitimate. Oh wait, they did, but it's some blurry, far off picture because they use cameras from 1980. I mean, come on, it's all nonsense. So, skinwalkers, I don't believe in them because we live in a world where everything is captured, but except them. Like no one's captured any sort of cryptid, and you cannot give me a logical reason why literally everything else under the sun can be captured but them. So, no. Modern Christians wouldn't approve of what? Sleep paralysis can be lots of things. I agree. You think Kanye West is a clone? No, I don't think cloning is as easy as people make it seem. I think that technology, while I do think that the government and the military has technology beyond what we currently have in our civilian world, I don't think it's up to cloning levels. I don't think life is a movie just yet. A simulation maybe, but not a movie. I like that theory that Neil deGrasse Tyson said, and I'm not a physicist and I don't remember it, word for word. So, but like if, the only way to prove if we are truly a simulation is to essentially create a simulation. So kind of like The Sims, and then have those and then have the creation, like the people. So like the Sims within the Sim world know that they are a creation. They don't know, as of right now, they have no idea that they're just a game. Like if you were to be transported into some VR world into The Sims, they wouldn't know that there's some computer program. They would think that, if they thought, they would think that they are existence. They wouldn't know that there's some computer program that exists in some pixelated world. So that would be the only way to prove if we were in some sort of a simulation type of a thing, which would be the only way that cloning would be like a real thing. I don't think our technology has gotten to that level yet. Also, Sheila Na Gig is found throughout Europe. I have never heard of Sheila Na Gig, unless I'm just not saying it right. Sheila Na Gig, it sounds like you're trying to say like that, like those Welsh, like the Turna Og or the Tuatha De Danann. Like it sounds like you're trying to say one of those, the Sheila Na Ig, Tuatha De Danann, but I've never heard of the Sheila Na Ig. But that doesn't mean anything. It's just I've never heard of it. Thoughts on Jesus? He's fine. I don't have any issue with Jesus. I call on Jesus quite often. Several grimoire traditional texts utilize the calling of Jesus, through prayers, through invocations, things like that. So I thought skinwalkers were a creepypasta. No, they're an actual Native American myth or creature or legend. I don't know, but they're they really do come from Native American lore. Do you think that America is corrupt and we're all being controlled? I do think that. I think almost if you don't want to, the only places that are not corrupt are the places where only woke rich people go, those Tahiti and Fiji, where they really don't have and no offense to the one person who I might have who's watching me from Tahiti, but islands like that where there's not really much of a population and it's either locals or rich people. There's really no in between. Places like that, you might be able to live free and do as you please, whether you're middle class or not. But the Western world, Europe, America, Canada, Asia, Russia, places like that, Australia, yeah, I think they're all controlled and no place is safe. I think things are going to get worse here for us, so thank God we still have our right to bear arms, and the state that I live in, we can bear arms and we don't have to have at least for open carry, I don't need a permit. So we have weapons here because I think things are going to get a lot worse over the next 10 years. I think things are getting a lot worse. But yeah, this isn't a political thing. So, but yes, I do think that. Do you believe in witchcraft and saints? Um, so are you asking, do I believe in those two things separate? I mean, yes, I do believe in witchcraft, and then obviously I believe that the saints are, well, not obviously, but yes, I do believe saints are real. But are you asking, do I believe, can those two things be used in conjunction with each other? Yes, I do believe that as well. Your thoughts on Jesus? I don't have any issue with Jesus. I work with him a few times. Jesus loves you. Thank you for that. When you practice, what is your objective, or do you just practice to learn? It depends. So I personally don't do anything for anything. Like, I don't do any workings for material stuff for myself. Most of my material workings are for like friends and stuff like that. And a lot of my work is client work. When I do my own workings, it's mainly to gain wisdom, gain knowledge, gain some sort of an insight to some sort of a spiritual question or some sort of spiritual nature. When I was younger, I didn't understand that. I thought, who would care? Like, it's so weird. When I first started out, I thought, who cares about the theory and who cares about the spirituality behind it all? Who cares? I just want to get bitches and get some money and blah blah. Like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? And then, like, once you do those things, you're like, okay, well, I got that. And then it's like you realize that there's more to occultism than just getting the materialistic things. While yes, it can be used for that, um, the satisfaction of occultism comes from achieving knowledge of your holy guardian angel, which is probably the first like pinnacle that a magician should strive for. And that's nothing. You get no money for that. There's no adoration. There's no love from friends and family and random women or men or whatever coming up to you. There's no awards for that. That's a personal spiritual thing, but it's something that most practitioners will not go through. They will not achieve knowledge and conversation with their holy guardian angel. So most of my work is on that sort of stuff now. Not just that. I've already got knowledge and conversation, but so I guess a lot of my work now is Thurgia. It's high magical stuff. So not really low magic or materialistic type magic. So Sheila Na Gig was a fertility goddess found throughout Europe. A woman showing her, a woman showing her. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay, I've seen many. Yes. So when you said she was showing over, okay, now I know what you're talking about. You need to see a picture of it to get it. No, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that statue. I've seen the statue, and she's in paintings and things like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh my gosh, a yellow jacket, and it's all right. Now it's on the phone. Get out of here. All right. Wait, are you New Age to Jesus or still New Age? I am not New Age at all. I was never New Age, and I did not go to Jesus. I am an occultist, initiated witch into the green tradition of witchcraft, into Atlantean witchcraft, and a neo-shamanic system of shamanism. So, not New Age. I do not like, as the thing up there says, New Age spirituality is trash. Paranormal research is trash. And the very top says, initiated occultist witch. Do you know how to make holy water? I want to bless myself in my home. Yes. Although it's best if you get holy water from someone who can make it properly, because if you don't know how to properly manipulate energy, then a lot of this is moot. But yes, essentially you just want to get some water and get some salt, and you want to devise a blessing ritual. If you have a patron deity that you venerate, or that you are initiated into his or her cult or his or her tradition, that's generally who you would get to bless. If you don't have a tradition or a system, and you're like a solo practitioner, like a solo worker, you can do it of your own volition and of your own power. But yeah, you would devise your ritual. Depending on how you want the holy water to work and its purposes, you can leave it out to charge under the moonlight. So a full moon is obviously best, but any sort of night where you can get a clear, which at least in my part of the world, it's very cloudy right now. Yeah, or you can also have it charge under the sun, and have it charge for a full day. And from there, once it's done, you're basically ready to use it. So yeah, that's like occult holy water, and that's a very very basic way. There's more involved ways of doing it. You can do it on specific hours of like specific days, and things like that. But that's a very basic way of making like a generic, like in a pinch, holy water. Been getting bad luck lately. I'm sorry. Let me see. So what I would say is get a reading done. It doesn't have to be me. You don't got to go through me. You can certainly do this yourself if you know how to do readings. Do a reading. This is what I always recommend. Anybody, whenever someone comes to me and they go, I'm cursed, or I think someone did some sort of black magic on me, or I'm having a lot of bad luck or something like that, I always say do a reading to get a spiritual assessment of the situation. So that way you can see if you are cursed, or what's going on, and get an origin of where this is coming from. And then we can you can then cut it off. So you can find the origin of whatever's going on, and then devise a plan to fix it. So if it is a curse or something like that, well, we can get that curse out of there. We can send it back to the person. We can just send it into the ground, or just have it dissipate. You can use it in your own magical workings. You can I don't know, there's a lot that you can do with energy that's been sent to you. Once you figure out what it is and where it came from, you can then manipulate it and rework it. So just ordered crystal gazing. Good, excellent, good luck. I'm trying to think of some other good ones. The Book of Abraxas, that's Nephilim Press, right? Yeah, I think that's Nephilim. The Book of Abraxas is also very good. That's where I do a lot of my preliminary rituals. A lot of the rituals that I do before I start my actual working. So like the Adoration of Metatron, the Rite of Jew, the Solar Rite of Protection, and those sorts of things I get from the Book of Abraxas, which is a modern sort of take on, well, not a modern take, that's a bad thing, not a bad thing to say, but like bad terminology, but like a modernist view on some of the rituals and spells found within the Greek magical papyri. I guess that's the best way to say it. Man, I want someone to debate you so bad. So do I. I would love for, but like, I don't know. Like, New Agers are a different breed. They're so, I'd say it like they're so soft. It's like it just because people disagree with you doesn't mean that they hate you, or that they that they want you dead, and blah blah blah. And it doesn't have to be some negative thing. We can have a civil debate where you come in here and you present your points, and hopefully you can. I mean, I'm going to have some questions, and hopefully you can answer them, and not just 2 questions, because anybody can answer 2 surface questions. But can you go deep and take me to the foundation of whatever it is that you're trying to get me to understand, like channeling, or how you're doing these speed tarot readings, for 400 people on your live, and there's 17 questions coming through a second, and you're doing speed readings. How does, can you explain to me how that works? Or if you're a paranormal researcher or a ghost hunter or whatever, how do you know, first of all, how do you know that the area that you're in is haunted by a ghost or a demon? That's a question that I have for a paranormal researcher. It seems that in paranormal research, there's and again, I'm specifically talking about ghost hunting. There's no other spirits except ghosts and demons. Those are the only 2 things that can haunt an area for some reason. It can't be, say, for example, we've got 100 acres of like undeveloped land. So all that land has land spirits, land wights, genius Loki, nature elementals, mainly earth and water. And say some local real estate developer buys up, like 80 acres of that land, and turns it into some, apartment complex and some like upscale shopping center. And then the remaining 20 acres he turns into like a park. and there's like walking trails and things like that. Why can't the disturbances in that area be from an angry nature spirit? Because now their home has been destroyed. Now the area where they used to receive veneration and things like that, now that's gone. So why can't it be an angry genius Loki? It's always a ghost, or it's always a demon. It's never anything else. So how is a ghost hunter able to determine that it is a ghost, or that it is a demon, and that it's not another type of spirit? So that's a question that I have for any of the ghost hunters out there. But I don't think we're going to get any. But I'm leaving it open. I could have taken this down and just did my regular outside video like I do lately, but or not a video, live stream. But I'm gonna leave this up in case we get somebody in here who is a New Ager or is a ghost hunter, and they can explain their beliefs and make it make sense esoterically, and not some mental masturbation. So I'll debate him. Okay. Let's go. Are we the mycelium of the thought of the... I have no idea what that... What that means. I don't know what that means. Are we the mycelium of the thought of the architect? I don't know what that means. What is New Age spirituality? I thought these were ancient practices. A lot of New Age spirituality is an amalgamation of several different ancient practices that are all thrown into a pot, and they mix them together. There is no New Age spirituality that in and of itself is ancient. It's just a bunch of ancient spiritualities. Have you ever seen that show Ghost Adventures where the Bubsy chills at Ghost for an hour? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Can you please answer my question? I did. You said, are we the mycelium of the architect? And I said, I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of anything like that. The mycelium of the architect. Define New Ager for me. Someone who believes in these Galactic Federation channelings, and these crystal healings, and these sound bowl healings, and meditation is everything. We're all one love. We're all one love, and all that. Look into that link. What link? Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Thank you for that. I sent you a guest request for our debate. Oh, okay. Let's see here, but let's definitely debate. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing
Welcome.
good. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Why don't you believe that we're all connected in some type of form of energy?
I didn't say that. We are all connected. I just don't think that connectedness means that you can get in contact with some sort of an alien being, or that you can instantly get in contact with a passed on loved one without doing any sort of ritual or occult work. So
you have to be some type of pagan to facilitate these connections?
You don't have to be pagan, no, but you do have to do, if you want to engage with a spirit, you have to do something spiritual. If you want to engage with some sort of magical whatever, you have to do something magical. You can't just say, okay, like, I see people get here on live, and they'll have, questions come up, and someone will say, oh, well, I don't know, am I going to get the house or whatever? And the person will go, okay, one moment. And they'll close their eyes and they'll speak some nonsense, and they'll call it light language, or they'll just, say, or they won't say anything. They'll just go, oh, okay, ooh, interesting. Okay. All right, well, my spirit guides say, yes, you should. And it's like, that's not, like, you didn't do anything. You literally closed your eyes for 0.2 seconds and you got in touch with your spirit guides. That doesn't make any sense, especially when there are literal masters of meditation, the Taoist practitioners, the Buddhist practitioners, the Shinto practitioners, the Javanese practitioners, these people who spend years, who don't have these first world distractions like cell phones and television and things like that. They spend years of their life in meditation. It takes them hours to get into an altered state of consciousness. You want me to believe that people can do it here in the West in 0.2 seconds and then channel a being? No way. No way.
So what do you think? Do you know about quantum physics and classical mechanics?
I
and
do
how
not.
that will... Well, there's this
I do not
thing
study
called...
quantum mechanics.
Okay. There's this thing called quantum entanglement, which is basically how we connect to each other through interdimensional wavelengths. Say, for
Okay.
instance, for example, that you were hugging a loved one and your energy fields collaborate with theirs, and instantaneously you stop hugging. It's an instantaneous information wavelength. See, the misconception of the people that you say that connect to people from different galaxies, aliens from different dimensions, angels, the deceased, it's just a wavelength that we cannot perceive with our current perspective, because we have our own personality, which thus means our own personal reality. So when we have this connection with another individual through this type of mycelium connection, like the roots of a tree or the connectivity of mushrooms, of this dimension of our outer aura of energy, that's how we connect to each other. That's how these people that you say, these new age people, can...
Themselves. So, did
Why not?
something happen? Okay, sorry.
No.
It popped up saying that it's sorry. So me being able to hug someone and there being a transference of energy is not the argument, because I do agree with that. That's how I read tarot cards. When I give the client, well, if they're physically present, when I give the client the cards, I tell them to shuffle the deck and focus their question into the cards. And then when they're done, I take that and then I absorb that as I do my prayers and my rituals and things like that. So that way I can then tap into their energy. But that only gives me access to them. It does not give me access to, Star Lord 57 from, Planet 78. Like it does, like that doesn't equate. If you want, and assuming that you can contact Star Lord, whatever, you would have to do something in order to get into contact with something outside of yourself. And this whole, concept of everything is within, I think that works for, like, if you are just, if you're sad and you need like a good pick me up or whatever, or like it's good for self-help. But I don't think that everything is found within. I think that there is a concept of things being external from us, and one would have to know how to connect to those things. It can't just happen. And even if it could just happen, you would have to know how to activate it. And most people have no idea how to activate it. They just say that it happens and they hope people believe them. And then when people don't believe them, they just say, take it or leave it. They don't do this. They don't do what we're doing here and have a dialogue. They just say, well, if you don't believe me, then I guess you got to go. Blocked, muted. And it's like, yeah. Okay, so.
So do you ever have the enigma when you're laying in bed and you're in the stillness of yourself, and it's just you and the universe and the state of being awake and asleep, and you realize that you are the universe experiencing itself as human? So thus meaning that the universe, a deity, a God, the architect, Jesus, the creator of all, be all within, would have to be every single atom in existence to experience all to be one.
Okay. I don't follow. I don't understand exactly what that means.
So you say that, like, what I'm perceiving from what you're saying is that enlightenment to you has to be activated. It's not something that's spontaneous. It's not something that is
Well,
bequeathed to you by the universe to use you as a conduit to the stars.
not
So that it
enlightenment.
can,
Enlightenment can be spontaneous. There are mystical cases of people who have had, like, who didn't go off on some monastic journey, or sojourn for 40 days, like Jesus did, and things like that. People who just have had spontaneous, wisdom or gnosis and knowledge of the gods and things like that. What I'm saying is, you can't channel beings. You can't instantly contact the other entities or passed on loved ones or spirit guides and things like that. I mean, even witches, even people like me, I can't just go, oh well, my ancestors, and just, well, my grandmother is reaching out to me. Like, it can't. That's not how it works. There are protocols that go back centuries across cultures, and not just Africa, but Africa to Iberia, to native Australia, to New Zealand, to ancient China, to Mesoamerica, to uh, Antarctica. I mean, all of these cultures had shamans, and all of these shamans had necromantic rites, and they all are extremely similar. They're all extremely similar. They're not exactly the same, no, because different cultures do things differently, but they are so similar that you have to know that there's some underlying current there where they all connect. And then you enter the new age, and they do nothing that resembles anything like anybody else in the world. They come in here with something completely different, which is fine. I'm not saying new things are bad, or that there is no, you can't create, and there's no innovation, but there has to be some sort of basis for it. There has to be some sort of foundation for it. And there is none. They just tell us to just believe what I'm doing, or you're a bigot and you're a gatekeeper and you're pushing your religion, or you're pushing your beliefs on people. Blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to understand why you do what it is you do. You can't explain it, and now you feel like I'm attacking you, and not you. I mean, but people in general. So that's what I'm saying.
right. So you're like, give me an example of this, an instance where you felt uncomfortable with believing someone's intuition was speaking with the deceased.
Well, so the deceased isn't, that's not really a thing nowadays. Nowadays, it's more people thinking that they can channel like interdimensional beings like spirit guides and the Galactic Federation and things like that. Not so much the dead. That's more of like a table tipping spiritist seance type of a thing. I just use that as an example to give, because that's another type of being that people can channel. But most of the videos or lives that I come across that people are channeling entities, it's mainly Galactic Federation, Arcturian Council, some sort of an alien cosmic awakening nonsense that they claim to be channeling and giving messages of. And it's always the same things: love and that stuff.
So
But
you
yeah,
believe you believe that we exist alone in the universe? You
no,
don't think there's
no,
extraterrestrials?
no.
Why?
No. I'm saying no. I don't believe that. I do believe that we are not alone and that other people are out there. I don't think that people can contact them by going like this. I don't think that that's how you get in contact with them. I think that if these beings are so super advanced and stuff like that, number one, they wouldn't want to. I mean, if this universe, according to science, this universe is endless, number one. And not only that, that endlessness is expanding. So wrap your head around endlessness and then endlessness getting bigger, which means if we're not alone, it can't just be us and one alien race. There has to be innumerable amounts of alien life out there. But they pick us. Earth is so special for what reason? I mean, if we're so dumb and so low on the totem pole, and because we have racism and we have hatred and we're not advanced, then why care? Throw us to the curb, and
Because
there's a million other planets out there for them to go worry about. Why worry about
because
Earth?
we're a fascinating species.
Um,
Let
come
alone
in
that
compared to who?
compare to just ourselves. I mean, the magnitude of use, we used to live in something called like a Chateau Hoyac, where we used to
Hmm.
live all together as one community in Africa. And now in 2021, we have cell phones, we have physics, we can understand the laws of practices of the universe, we fall in love, we create music, we die, we love, we have passion, we have intrigue, I mean, all these different types of variety of life is absolutely phenomenally terrifying at the same time, and a miracle. We have people that have disabilities that have heightened senses. I mean, this is probably a magnetism to extraterrestrial life forms, because the variety of life on Earth is exponentially infinite. And just for example, like Isaac Newton in 1628 came up with a theory of gravity. That is very hard to conceptualize. Do I believe that he came up on that on his own? No, not whatsoever. No, but it was a gift bequeathed to us from source, some outside source other than us. And if they thought we were so loathly, why would they waste our time giving us this information? They want to
Well,
give us this information for a reason.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we're getting any sort of information from anybody. I think that these messages that we're getting are the same messages that every religion since time immemorial has taught. So I don't need the aliens to tell me that we need to love each other, that we all need to come into one. I think an atheist could look at the current state of the world and go, guys, I think the solution is for us to come together and be one. I don't think we need either religion or the new age aliens to tell us that we need to be one. So I don't think that
Exactly.
any sort of alien or any sort of interdimensional being is telling us or giving us any sort of information in that way. Now, do I think ancient cultures like the Egyptians and the Aztecs and the Mayans, that they were contacting aliens? Yes, they were, but they were doing rituals. They were now, some of those rituals were a little crazy, like sacrificing kids and stuff like that, and people and all that. But they were doing things. They had a belief, and they were putting real world action behind their beliefs, building literal landing pads for the spaceships to land on. They weren't sitting in their room going, I'm raising the vibration. And that's not to mock. That's to put into contrast that, like, if these things are real and we can get into contact them, look at our ancestors, and this is the problem, look at the history, look at the foundation. They don't do that. History shows that if these things did exist, they were building monuments and statues and these big pyramids for what they say, like energy, transference and all this other stuff. They were putting real world action behind their beliefs. Modern day New Agers who claim to be contacting these same beings, they're sitting in the room meditating, thinking that that's getting in touch with the Arcturian Council, and I would argue that it's not. I would argue that it's not.
I can explain it. I mean, it can be explained by spirituality, meditation, and physics.
Okay.
See, in the world of physics, there is, the dark and the light. Let's just put it in theoretic terms.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a quantum entanglement, you have two particles or two photons or two electrons or whatever instance you want to connect from, exponentially large distances. So it's kind of like the yin and the yang of the universe. So what I do here, my other shadow spirit in some other realm would feel it. That would also explain dimensional parallel universes. So quantum entanglement is instantaneous communication, which would in theory give great explanation to how Jesus and the people that you talk about in ancient terms talk to deities. Mm-hmm. You have to be also receptive of the truth to know the truth. You can't. But to be enlightened is to know nothing and to accept everything.
Sorry, go
ahead. I was saying, to be enlightened is to the point where you know absolutely nothing. That's where you're sitting beside yourself inside this magnitude of Earth, and know
Mm,
that you are like a fragment of a neuron. Like you're basically an atom. You're like microbacteria on Earth, and the Earth is inside of a solar system, and we're inside of a universe that's the shape of a brain, and that
mm,
continues on to an infinite infinity, and that continues on into a hypersphere, and that continues on to sacred geometry, steady, continuous, purgatorious infinity, forever and ever, over and over, repeating itself.
okay.
So we are literally the universe experiencing itself as human. So you don't have to have, I mean, I don't want to insult anybody, like trinkets or crystals or monoliths or pagan things to connect yourself with what the oneness of the
Mm.
universe. It's in you all the time. You just have to be receptive for it. The
So
truth.
then, so then I would argue for if that's the case and that's the truth, then what's the point of going on lifelong spiritual journeys to discover that? I mean, you just told it to me in 3 minutes. I mean, what's the like? Why did Jesus, who's supposedly the Son of God, have to not only learn from the rabbis and the temple magistrates, but we have that whole like 15-year gap of his life where we have no idea what happened. So there's this Gnostic New Age thought that he went to India and learned from them. If we can take that and assume that's true, why would any of that be necessary? First of all, you're the Son of God, so you should know what the truth is. But not only that, the rabbis should have told you what the truth is, and that's we're all one, and that it's the universe experiencing itself, and all that. Why have to go learn? Why did Blavatsky have to go learn under the Vedic masters before she became enlightened? Why did Crowley have to go to Egypt before he was able to get in contact with Awas, which some people might see as a gray alien, but that's neither here nor there. Um, like I can't get behind that. That's too simplistic. It's much more complicated than that, and I think that is at the beginning of wisdom. I think that, yes, knowing that you don't know anything, but also knowing that when you feel as though you have the answer, that's probably when you should really start looking. um,
But the beauty
so
is that there is no answer. These spiritual guides, priests, Jesus, these people that wrote in Bibles and religious tomes, we don't have the answers. If we had the answers, we would know it by now. If we had the answers from religious text and spirituality, Satanism, so on, so forth, etc., we would be one consciousness. We would be one with everyone, and we would have a utopia. But because we have this individual mindset of separate ideologies and separate religions, that my way's right, your way's wrong, this is the right way to contact the stars, to contact extraterrestrials, contact spirits, we're all wrong.
mm,
How many eras, lifetimes, decades have we been doing this purgatorious thing, repeating the same thing over and over and over, expecting this different result? And that's the definition of insanity.
yeah,
So I think we're insane to think that we know it all. We don't. That's
of
why
course.
we haven't progressed in evolution. That's why we haven't progressed in equality and acceptance of races and sexual orientations and sexualities and a lot of things. This
Hmm.
this planet is so angry and so receptive of judgment. We don't like
Hmm.
someone because they're different. We don't like someone because they don't think like we do. Have we ever stopped and thought, what about the solar system? How does that feel? And people are like, oh, that's preposterous. That can't happen. The earth can't feel, the planets can't know. Yes, they can. We are literally the stardust. We are the universe experiencing itself as human. We are carbon, nitrogen, helium. We are every bit of every single thing in the universe. We are consciousness walking. It's absolutely phenomenal. We get to wake up, we get to create things, and we get to know
Mm-hmm.
things. We think that we know it all, but we don't. If we did,
Right.
we would be in a utopia. The thing is that you can have oneness, you can have self-love, you can love yourself, you can become enlightened, and you can become one with the universe without any type of spiritual practices or lost text or tones or all the stuff that you're trying to reiterate to everybody. I
Mm-hmm.
experienced it myself. I've gone through tumultuous, traumatic things in my life that has brought me one step closer in my journey to enlightenment.
Right.
Enlightenment is knowing that you're inside of a matrix, knowing that everything that you perceive on television and in music, everything everywhere is a lie. You have to know what you're capable of, the power that you have, this energy, life force that you can connect to anything, anywhere, instantaneously at any time. If you're receptive, if you believe, you can do anything. That's why if
But
they,
how do you
I mean,
validate
most,
that though? How do you
what do you
validate that?
mean?
So you say that you can do all of these things and have all of these experiences, but if you only go on your own belief and you only go off of only what you feel is the right way, how do you validate that? Because no one else can tell you that it's wrong. I mean, you're going to go with the fact, excuse me, that you actually had this experience of channeling whatever or getting in touch with whatever or meditating this or achieving union with whatever. How do you know that you actually did whatever it is that you were trying to do? And
So
even though I'm not
are you looking
Christian,
for evidentiary support? Do you need concrete evidence, or is this something that you have
yes.
to have faith for?
No,
You need
no, yes,
evidence.
evidence, yes. And the reason is because truth only works one way. If something is the truth, then something else has to be a lie.
And
There can't be your
what do
truth, his
you,
truth, my truth, our truth. Because if
all
his
right.
truth says, well, all of you guys are lying, well, now what? Now we're just in a spiritual stalemate? Like, his truth can't be
No,
right while at the same time saying everyone else's truth is wrong. There is no
let me
way
tell you,
that
let me tell you
what?
something. I used to think like you, very logically,
Mm-hmm.
in my foundation of physics and the laws and practices of science. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
person that is able to play the piano, the cello, the violin. I'm the
Right.
person that's passionate. You can look on my channel. I write my poetry. But
Mm-hmm.
there is this innate energy inside oneself that you can neither deny or dispute. Logic cannot explain everything because humans came up with logic.
That's true.
Let
Logic
me
cannot
give
explain
you
everything.
let me give you an example. This is just a theory. This is just something for
Sure.
giggles. You could take it or leave it. Jesus, like Neo in the Matrix, is one of the individuals that became enlightened. He knew within himself that he had the power to go beyond the physicality, the solidity of earth. I'm standing on water. I'm standing on a rock. The solidity of things
Right.
like that. And Morpheus had a good example. He always said, well, if you perceive what's real is just a bunch of connections in your mind telling you that hot sauce is spicy and the television is too bright and the music is too loud, that's just connections going to me, a biological computer, which is your brain. We
Right.
are a biological computer inputting and outputting information constantly, forever and ever, infinite, going on and on and on.
Right.
So to me, Jesus was whoever this Jesus person was, I believe he was real,
Mm-hmm.
had to be the first quote unquote Neo type of person. For a good example of this is when he was on the boat and he was walking on water. He was having his little Neo Matrix moment. And the
Mm-hmm.
moment that the people on the boat said, you can't walk on water, he fell through it, just like Neo in the Matrix when Morpheus told him to jump off a building and he fell and he remembered gravity existed and he
Well, wait a
fell.
minute.
And
Jesus didn't
then
fall through
Neo
the
woke
water.
up.
It was the guy that he bought out on the water. Jesus was walking on the
Well,
water, and he
one of
bought
them.
somebody
I'm
out.
not.
I think it was Peter, and it was Peter who started to disbelieve, and he fell through. I think it was Peter. I think it was Peter.
Well, whoever it was. It's such a perfect example. And then Neo woke up and then he turned to Morpheus and he's like, okay, if this is all fake, what's this? And Morpheus said something that we all should live by, living out of love instead of fear. He said, you perceived it as real. He's like, so it was real. There are some things that I believed as a logical person that is passionate about the laws and practices of physics and science. I'm in love with science. I devote my life to it. I love it. I respect it. But there are some things that happen in my life that I can't even explain and not even have evidence for that I know is factual truth. When you stand
Hmm.
outside and you're in nature and you realize that every single thing is connected by every single element, it's mind blowing. And that's when you reach enlightenment, when you know
Right.
that you are an insignificant mote of dust floating through the universe and you get to experience life. It's absolutely mind blowing. And then you get these anomalies that enter your life, like the Mandela effect, or you feel frequencies or a presence in a room that you can't describe. It's actually a wave field.
Of course.
This universe is structured to have instantaneous connectivity no matter how far the distances are. And it can
Right.
be
But
explained by
these are one-offs.
spirituality and physics.
Right,
Huh?
but these are like one-off things. I'm talking about things that are supposedly repeatable. You've got people out there saying that, okay, so I can channel all of these beings, and you can too. And then how? How am I supposed to be able to channel these galactic federations, and then also know that the person or the being or whatever that I'm in contact with is the being that I want. Where is the verification and the validation that you're getting in touch with anything, and it's not just your ego? Excuse me, sorry, I hit my chair. And it's not just your ego, and you're not just mentally masturbating and playing games with yourself, tricking yourself into this, because there is actual books in, and not just in the New Age, even in occultism, and it's even by some authors that I respect, where they say things like, if you do an evocation and the spirit's not there, you can't see the spirit, you can't hear the spirit, you can't sense the spirit, treat it as if it's there and still give your so essentially pretend like the spirit is there, talk to the air, and like that doesn't do it. That's mental masturbation. You need to be able to verify that when you did this ritual that something appeared, and that when the wind blew and that the chimes happened and all that, that wasn't a coincidence, that there was a spirit arriving. You need to be able to verify that. And then you need to be able to verify that when the spirit arrived, that it's the spirit that you wanted and not some imposter spirit. Because while people can actually channel spirits and get in touch with beings and things like that, you have to understand that you can't just, it's not a telephone. It's not, I dial your phone number, and unless someone stole your phone or is playing games, I'm going to get you and not some random person. Whereas spirituality doesn't work like that. When you put out the call, anything can respond, and you have to be able to verify who it is that you're talking to. So what I'm saying is, while all these things of us being energy and us being connected and us being one may be true on the micro level, when it comes to contacting things outside of us, that really doesn't play a part. And you need to be able to do esoteric things in order to contact esoteric beings. There is no just sitting there and meditating and now you're contacting Michael the Archangel. How do you know that that's Michael? If you've never dealt with Michael before, how do you know that that's Michael's energy? What? Because you stepped into your power, you stepped into your love? What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. You
So,
you stepped in your love.
so you
So,
base your life on evidence, and that's it. So if you
well, I don't.
can't have a tangible thing that has some type of information document, you don't believe it.
I don't base my life on that, but I definitely base my spirituality on that. I mean, if I'm going to dedicate my life to something and my afterlife to something, I would like to make sure that it's all been checked out and verified and vetted. And I feel like most people within the new age can't do it. They can't do what we're doing right here and go deep and be able to uncover foundational stances on whatever it is that we're having a conversation on. So those questions that I just asked you, they wouldn't be able to answer. How do you validate? The
And what
answer is
evidence do
that they
you
don't validate.
and what evidence do you have that it isn't true? What tangible evidence and documentation that you have that it isn't true? Have you ever
So the
studied have you ever studied the practices of Robert Monroe, where he was just,
the
an
Monroe Institute,
ordinary guy? Huh?
the Monroe Institute,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not enough evidence for you? It's in a
No,
book.
there's nothing wrong with what with what they're doing, but that doesn't equal being able to get in contact with beings that aren't here, or being able to do speed tarot readings or things like that, because again, it's discounting entire centuries and centuries and centuries of cultures that have done these things and have done it well, and
Mhm.
are still doing it to this day, and are not trying to and there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There's no need to try to do, I mean, it's not that, oh, try to do something new. It's like there's no need to try to get in touch with beings a new way when there's already a million and one ways, and they all work. And these new age ways that are being brought in have no basis of anything. So I don't understand why people want to. Well, I do understand. It's because people want instant spirituality. People want to feel like they're spiritual without really doing anything spiritual, because we've been conditioned to live in an instant world. 4G wasn't fast enough. Now we're about to, I mean, and now we're in 5G, and that's going to not be fast enough. And then we need the Internet of Things. Like, it's we can't wait 5 minutes for our movie to download. It has to be done in 2 minutes, and then that'll be too long. Like, we live in a world where everything has to be instant, and it's extended to spirituality. People want instant spirituality. People don't want to work for it. They want to be told that you're a good person, and that goodness is going to get you into heaven or whatever else in the afterlife, and that may not be the case. And sorry, there's a bug flying around. So that's what I'm saying.
So you constitute that the fact that we are most of us are unawoken, materialistic, egotistical, selfish people, that we need instant gratification because a few out of the many don't do something that you like. You don't believe in it.
I'm
Have
not
you ever
sure
thought that
I understand your
you're never
question.
connected to someone, to an extraterrestrial, because they don't want to contact you, or and they don't want to speak to
No,
you, and they don't
no.
think that you're receptive of it?
No, I think that that's a very human thing. I think that and we do this a lot with God. I think that we take our human limitations and we put them on other things that aren't human. We don't know how these aliens would think. We don't know how, if, and this is assuming that they exist, we don't know that their morals are the same as our morals. We're told that because people have channeled that information, but there's no vetting of that channeling. There's no verification of that channeling. It's just why okay, so where are all the documents from ancient times that talk about the Anunnaki aliens or the Palladian Council or the Arcturian? Where are the ancient Vedic texts, the ancient Hellenic texts, the ancient Taoist texts, the ancient Christian texts, the ancient Jewish texts, the ancient Mayan texts that talk about the Palladians or the Arcturians or nothing? Yeah, they all talk about beings that came from the sky, but that could be a storm god or a cloud god. It doesn't have to be an alien. Where are the ancient texts that talk about these beings being Palladians and Arcturians and reptilians and all that? That stuff didn't come until the 80s, until that Wilcox guy and that actress started talking about they were getting in touch with these extraterrestrials. That's when it happened. Before the 1980s, there was none of this interdimensional contact. The ancients weren't talking about that. Why? Why weren't, I mean, like, people always want to go, oh, well, it goes back to the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians were not talking about extraterrestrials at all. They had over 5,000 of their own gods that they had to worry about. They weren't worried about aliens. They were worried about surviving the wars and things like that. So like, I just don't understand where this new age nonsense and why it's sticking so much, where it comes from, and why there is no foundation, and why no one can give me a foundation. So
So, see, this is what upsets me about living on Earth. It's this continuous purgatory of I know it all, I'm human. It's
I don't know it all.
ridiculous. But
I don't know it next to all.
you need evidence from people
Mhm.
that say they connected to an extraterrestrial. You don't know that
Of
for a
course,
fact. I don't know it for a fact if
you
they
should
did or
want
not.
evidence that I can connect, or not connect, because I can't connect, but that I can evoke angels, or that I can evoke demons, or that I can evoke
That
elementals. You should
that's
want
the
evidence of that. You
that's
shouldn't just
the
go, oh, okay,
issue.
that's cool. That's, I mean, it's cool. Okay, so it's fine, or it doesn't matter if I'm not doing anything with it. If I'm just sitting in my room and I'm just saying, oh, I can contact angels, but when I'm going out into the world and telling people that I can do this, and then charging people for these sorts of things, you should want evidence. And even if I'm not charging you, even if it doesn't hurt your pocket, you should have a soul or a spirit or a consciousness or whatever to want to protect other people from my scam or whatever. So yeah, you should want the evidence. You should want to be able to say, wait a minute, guys, I don't know if this guy really can evoke angels or demons. He said this, and this, and everything else within occultism, and that really talks about angels and demons, says all this other stuff. I don't know if this guy is like legit. You can't do that with me,
Why is
but
it
that's what
why is it
happens with.
important Why is it
Sorry, go ahead.
important to you for someone to be legit? Why can't you just experience your own life journey on your own and not
Be-
nitpick everybody and what they do?
because these people, again, aren't just sitting in their room doing it with themselves. They're sharing it with other people, so they're trying to share their delusion with other people.
Mm.
And I mean, okay, take this. If you were a doctor, and maybe not you, maybe you wouldn't, but there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sure several billion of us would. If you're a doctor and you're just walking walking down the street, and you overhear two people talking about medicine, and they happen to be talking about your specialty, whatever that is, and they're talking about it, and they're talking absolute shit. They're saying all kinds of bullshit about neuroscience or whatever it is that your specialty is. You wouldn't go, well, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like eavesdrop, but I am a neuroscientist, or I am a neurosurgeon or whatever, and everything you're saying is absolute crap. Maybe here's how it really works, or something. Like, if you have the time, I don't know, but a lot of people would do that. That's the equivalent of this here. I hear people talking nonsense about spiritualism, about occultism, about mysticism, about esotericism. They're spewing nonsense and they're charging for it. And I can't just sit by and let people be taken advantage of. A perfect example is, there's this girl who I follow here on TikTok. I also follow her on YouTube. Elizabeth April. She claims to be able to well, she's one of these channelers that she can channel the Galactic Federation and all this other stuff. But one of things that she says that she can do is she can astral travel. And so there was one video over the summer. She was live, that I caught her live, and she was saying how she astral traveled to a Buckingham Palace, and she was able to see inside Buckingham Palace, and she was able to see that there are children locked up within Buckingham Palace, and that these children are being abused, both physically and sexually and all this other stuff. And you know what she told her audience? Not to, call the cops and send tip lines or get, sign a petition to get this looked at. She said, just send them your love. Let's just breathe and send them our love. Abused children can really use your love. That's what her thing was. And that's absolute shit. Number one, you want me to believe that you went over to Buckingham Palace and you saw abused children and you're not doing anything about it, but yet you want me to believe that you're some spiritual cosmic person. You just told me you saw children getting abused and you're not going to do anything. You're going to pray for them. That's the equivalent of sending love. You're going to pray for them. That's absolute that's shite. So yes, you need to be able to, because stuff like that is quite serious. You need to be able to prove that. I'm sure a lot of her audience sent a lot of donations to her little Patreon and things like that, so that way she can cosmically do her whatever to send love. So I'm sure she milked a lot of money out of her audience, and stuff like that is what bothers me, because that's absolute shite. And someone like me who actually can astral project and I wouldn't be going to Buckingham Palace, I can tell you that, if I could astral project. But whatever, that's beyond the point. And then I see people making money off of this nonsense. Yeah, I can't sit by. So
So it's because you don't like it because people make profit off of it.
no, people are like, you keep skipping over the fact that these people are not doing it. Like, they're making profit off of nothing. They're lying. They are lying. They are literally selling snake oil, and you are saying, so what? Let them sell snake oil. No, no, I cannot let them sell snake oil. I cannot.
But you
Sorry.
said that you
If
needed
they want to
you need.
make their own snake oil and drink it themselves in the comfort of their own room, then fine. But yeah, I cannot allow them to just sit by
But you
and
said that
take
you
it.
needed evidence, and this is why you don't like the Buckingham Palace example, that she could have saved a multitude of children if she had the evidence of where they're located, where they're being detained, so
If she
on
had
and
evidence
so
that she was
forth.
really doing anything, if she, I think that that was just like something to capture her audience attention. If she had evidence that she had really seen any children, not that she couldn't do anything, it was the fact that I don't believe that she astral projected at all and went to Buckingham Palace at all and saw anything at all. It's not the fact that she went there and did nothing. I don't believe any of it. She did not astral project. She
So
did not go to Buckingham Palace,
so you
and
live
yet she
in
made a lot of
so
money
you
off of it.
live so you live in hypocrisy, because you said that you project or
Yeah,
whatever it's called. What
yeah.
evidence do we have that you do that?
I would give you the method to that I use to astral project, and then you would be able to do it yourself. I would say, okay,
And what if I
take
can't?
take my take my results and take my experiment, and I'm gonna pass it on to you, and then you conduct your own experiment, just like you would in science. You go, hey, I've never heard of this thing. I see that you got this result. I want to get it too. Here's my notebook and my journal with all of everything I did. Go in and have at it. And what if you can't? Well, what would you do in science if you did one experiment and it didn't work? What would you do? Would you give up and go, oh, science is absolute trash? No, you'd go over your results, see where you went wrong, and you try again.
So what do you
So
do to astro project?
Um, well, the main way to is before you're about to go to sleep, which is what they generally suggest for beginners. Before you're about to go to sleep, you want to sort of trick your brain into sort of getting into like a liminal state, sort of like an in between state. And once you're in that
In between
in
what?
between in between wake and sleep. So like that's what a liminal means. You're in between two different states. So
Hmm.
wake and sleep. And once you are able to achieve that, and your body, or excuse me, the mind thinks that it's sleep, what you want to do is envision, or at least the most common way is to envision like a rope descending from your ceiling, and you want to grab onto that rope and pull and pull and pull and pull, and it'll take quite a few tries, but you pull and pull and pull and pull, and you'll slowly pull yourself out of your body. It can feel jarring at first, but once you get over that notion of or that feeling of being removed from your body, you'll get pulled out, and you'll be able to from there travel. That's a little bit of a basic primer on astral projection.
And then what happens after that?
You travel. You go wherever
Where?
you
Where
want to
did
go,
you go?
wherever you want to.
Where did you go?
I go to the upper world, to the underworld, to the middle world to do client work mainly, soul retrievals, totem work, power animal work, angelic spiritual work, so that sort of thing.
And what dimensions are these things in?
Uh, they're not in any sort of dimension. It's the upper world, the lower world, and the middle world.
And where is
These are
that? Where is that directly in our spatial
Oh, I have no idea.
awareness?
I have no idea.
Or
Like I couldn't give you directions to get there. I can't tell you how to get there. It's a spiritual plane. I can't tell you to turn left at Albuquerque. It's a spiritual plane.
and what evidence do you have that that exists?
By you doing.
How do you know that you're not dreaming? How do you know you're not dreaming?
You are partially dreaming. You're in a liminal state. You're in the in-between state of wake and dream. So in a sense, you are dreaming. You're in.
How do you know that you're not just in a dream
state.
and you perceive yourself as astral projecting? What evidence do you have to show that?
Awake, because you're not sleeping. You are awake, so you can't be dreaming. You're in the liminal state. The evidence is the fact that you are awake. I mean, I can't prove to you that you're awake. You should just I can't prove to you right now that you're up. You should know that you're awake. I can't prove to you you're awake. Just like you can't prove that I'm awake. You can say, look around, but I can say, well, how do I know that I'm not in a dream? Well, then I don't know. I guess you're in a dream.
But I really want to do this astral projection, and I want you to give me, distinct details so I can do this, experiment, so I can have evidence to prove what you say is factual. So when if you know that
describe what happens in my astral projection. Which I did, but that doesn't.
But I want to know how to get there I want to know how to get there by evidence, because you want evidence that other people are contacting spiritual deities or whatever you want to say. I want the details, how you know that you're in between state of wakefulness and REM sleep. How do you know that? What evidence do you have to support that? Are you in some type of hospital facility where you're hooked up to machines that are connected to your neurotransmitters? How do you know that you're in wakefulness and sleep at the same time without any type of, measurement?
Right, because
how do you know that?
The fact that you are awake, you know that you're awake. You know when you're awake, and you know when you're sleeping, and so and everyone has been in that state of you're about to fall asleep, or someone wakes you up from asleep, and you're in that liminal state. When you're in that state, you know that you're in that state. You're not, oh, am I awake or am I sleeping? You know that you either just woke up or you are about to fall asleep, and you're going into this weird in between fuzzy, foggy sort of a state. You know that.
Explain it to me so I know what you're talking about. How does it feel?
It's this groggy, sort of fuzzy, hazy, sort of like a limit. I don't know how to explain a state. You are taking the point and going, and you're trying to have me explain every single step, and that's not the point. If you want to astral project, I gave you the instructions to astral project, and you should just do them. What you're doing is I give you the instructions and you go, okay, well, step 1 starts with the letter T. Now let's get down with the letter T and understand where the letter. That's not the point here. If you want to,
but isn't that what science is?
Do the steps of astral projection and then record your results and see what happens. And if nothing happens,
isn't that what science is? Isn't that what scientists do?
No,
you're talking.
You are doing a logical fallacy. You're doing one of the 54 logical.
Oh, you had a time to talk. Now let me talk. So you're talking about that you need evidence and that you can bet these things that need to be facilitated like science, which you were telling me. So scientists take what you say.
I'm just going to move into the house.
To take what you say as truth. I don't know what you're saying that is truth. To me, it sounds like a whole bunch of fabricated lies. So to do this astral projection, I need every detail of how you got to this in-between state of wakefulness, of consciousness, of being awake and aware of the conscious awareness of what you are in this world, and sleep, where you're in your subconscious. I need to know how you got there, how long it took to get there, what you experienced. How do you know it's the upper world? How do you know it's the underworld? How do you perceive what you know is real, or how do you know that it's just a dream? How do
how
you know?
ridiculous that is? You're
How
essentially
do you
asking
know all
someone,
this?
how do you know
I'm at
that
you
you're
want
in your house and you're
you
not outside? I see the fact that
you
that
you
like you
you wanted
see your television, that you're sitting on your couch and everything like that. But you're basically
you
doing
wanted
a straw
people.
man fallacy
You
because you can't defend your own beliefs. When I
This
give
is
you the
your
instruction,
belief. This is not but
you
my belief.
this
I don't believe in astral projection. This is something that you're trying to make me believe by doing some type of evidence. I'm not going to sleep in my house and just lay down and take what you say for word. That's not how science works.
exactly.
You
So
take
I
what
gave you the instruction, and
how?
instead of
So
taking it
so
and
tell
doing
me
it,
in detail.
you want to
Okay.
go over every single aspect of the
How many
instruction.
times
I gave you the
so
instruction, and you're supposed to do it.
how many times have you
I
done
don't
this?
understand how this is supposed to work.
Okay, let me finish talking. How many times have you done this? So when a
Have I
scientist
done astral
takes some,
projection?
how many times have you done it?
Have I done astral projection? I'm done what? I'm trying
Yes,
to astral
astral
projection
projection. How
numerous
many
times. I don't.
times have
I
you
haven't written
how many
down every
times?
single time.
How many
There's a new.
okay,
That's like me
hypothetically,
asking
give
you
me a
how many
number of
times
how
have
many
you.
times you've done it. How many
I've been
times
doing
have
this
it
for 18
an
years.
estimate?
I don't count how many times. I don't sit and go, okay, today I did astral projection number 1. Okay, and now it's 8:00. I'm gonna do astral. Like I don't sit down and mark it down. There's no need or no reason to do that. And I
There
don't know
is a reason if you're
anybody.
going to back it up with evidence. You said that you want evidence from people that can contact people from far distances in the universe, and you don't believe
Yeah,
that it's possible because they have instantaneous connection with
right.
some extraterrestrial
Right.
being, and you
You're
want
missing the
evidence of
point.
it.
What I am saying is if those people are doing
I
that, it
want
should be
evidence that you
repeatable.
have astral
You are
projected,
completely
concrete
missing the point.
evidence.
If these people are
No, how
contacting
many times have you
extraterrestrial
astral
beings, it should
projected?
be repeatable. They should do what I just did for
Okay,
you.
like
When I was
astral
sitting
projection,
outside, you asked me
like
how to
astral
astral project.
projection.
I told you how to astral project. And instead of saying,
Okay,
okay, I'm going to take that and I'm going to go try it astral project and see what happens, you
okay.
decide to pick apart each aspect of the instructions rather than
That's
taking the instruction and going to go do it.
evidence.
What
Repeating
I
the
am
same
looking
thing
for
over and
from
over,
the New Agers
over
and
and
from the
over and over and
paranormal
over.
researchers is to present instruction for other people to go and repeat their methods so
That's
they
what
can
I'm
go
asking
and
from
contact
you. I need your
whatever these extra.
instruction.
I gave you them already, and you keep saying, now explain that, explain that. I gave you the
And
instructions.
that's what
I
science
gave you
is.
the instruction.
Explain it. Explain it.
No,
How do you get
I give
from
you instructions for an experiment. You go and you do it. Like I don't
exactly?
understand.
So let me
I don't
finish.
have to
So
explain to you how a
yes,
beaker
you
works and
do. If you want to prove it as
and
evidence,
how
yes, you do.
a tester
Yes, you
works and
do.
everything.
Yes,
If
you
you're a
do.
scientist, you should be able to take these things and go and run the experiment.
That's
You
why I'm
should not be
asking
running
you. You're the
experiments
one
with
that
things
does
that you
it
don't
more than
understand.
me. You
No,
do it more than
you
I do,
you okay.
right?
You are literally going up to Gordon Ramsay and saying, okay, show me how to cook. And then he goes, okay, I'm going to show you. This is how you cook. Turn on the stove. And then you go, well, where does fire come from, Gordon? That's not the
Well,
point. Turn on the
fire is
freaking
something that you can
stove so we can
see.
start cooking. Like I'm giving you the
Fire,
instructions to
the
cook. It
stove,
doesn't
the
matter where
utensils
fire
that
comes
you
from.
use.
It does not
You do.
matter.
You
You
see
should
the
know how to
fucking
use a
fire.
spoon. You should know how to use
Yes,
fire. You should know
exactly.
how to
Because you
use a
can hold it
pot.
in your
I
hand.
don't need to
Because you can hold
explain
it in
that
your
to you.
hand.
You should know how to do
Because
those
you can
things.
hold it in your
So
hand.
now just follow the instructions and see if you can cook. And if the meal comes out like
You can't
trash,
compare.
then let's go back over
You
it.
can't
Let's go
compare
back over it and
cooking to
see where you
astral
went
projection.
wrong to fixing this meal. That's literally
You
what
can't.
you're
You
doing, and it
can't.
doesn't make
You
any
can't
sense. I
compare.
gave you the
You can't
instructions,
compare
and instead of
cooking
taking these
to
instructions
something that's
and going
paranormal.
and doing the experiment to get the results, you're breaking every little piece down and saying, explain it, explain it, explain it, explain it, explain it, explain it. And that's missing the point. You are missing the
So how
point
can you
completely.
compare something that's tangible that you can tangibly touch, like salt and butter and spoons and
It's
fires
called
and
an
turning the
illusion.
dial
It's
off?
called an
No,
illusion. It makes the
so you got
point.
to talk. So let
It's
me talk,
making a
please.
point. It's making a
So
point.
you can touch these things in the physical realm of the physics of Earth. So you could touch the ladle, you could touch the salt, the salt,
Yeah,
or whatever he's using to
guys,
cook.
this is
But
what
this
she's
is
doing. It was
that's
an
the
illusion. You are taking something and
oh my
running with it.
God.
It was simply to make a point. It was simply an illusion. Obviously, butter and astral projection are literally not the same thing. It was an
So
illusion
why
to
do you
illustrate
doubt
a
other
point.
people then? So why do
Because the
you doubt
methods
other
are
people
not
then?
repeatable. They cannot give
So
me a
astral
method
projection
like
is
I
when you
gave
can't
you.
describe it.
They cannot give me a method like I gave you and say,
That's not a
go,
method.
mystical rebel, go and do this and then record your results. They can't do it. I just have to believe them. I have to believe
That's not
that
a
they're
method.
channeling these entities. I can't say, how are you doing this? And they go, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I say, okay, I got my pen, I got my paper, I'm going to write it down. Okay, I'm going to go try this tonight and I'll be back. They can't do that like I did to you when I was sitting outside before my phone got to 2% and I had to come inside. I gave you the instructions, but instead of saying, okay, whatever, and you'll do it later or whatever, you decided to
so
move
you're a
on
hypocrite.
and break on.
So you're a hypocrite. So you expect
No,
me to
there
believe
is
what
nothing
you say
hypocritical
without
here.
evidence.
No, I'm telling you to go and do it. Go and get,
I don't
go
believe
and
that.
get the evidence. Just
How?
like you said, astral projection isn't physical, right? It's not like the ladle. I
And what
can't
do you
show
do?
you, just like I can show you this lighter here, I can't
Exactly.
show you astral projection. Those are your
Exactly.
words. I can't you're asking me to you gotta take what I just told you and do it.
Exactly.
That's the issue with the New Agers. They can't give me something to do. This is the issue from
Have
the
you
beginning.
asked?
They can't give me
Have you
something
asked?
to do. Of course, what the hell? Of course I've asked. What the freak kind of course I've asked. What?
What have you
Yes, I've
asked
asked.
them?
You think I just sitting there live, silent, not saying nothing, and then just, what? Of course I've asked. This, like,
What
come on.
questions have you asked?
How do you
What
do
questions
that?
have you asked?
What are you doing? Can you give us step by step? And you just said 5 minutes ago that
That's
we can
what
do
I just
this.
asked
So
you.
how do I do it? Huh?
Because you can't give me an intellectual, detailed references because I guess you're not intelligent enough to describe it in physics.
What are
Describe
you
it in
talking
physics.
about? What the hell are you talking
What do you
about?
mean what am I talking? You're talking about, you say that I have a physical body with subconscious and conscious being, and you think that I can
I
just
did not
lay
say
in
that.
my bed
I did
and
not
just
say that.
astral project? Give me the details. Tell me
No,
in physics how this
that's
works.
New Age.
With
You
science.
can't just lay
Tell
in your
me.
bed and astral project.
Tell me.
You have to do
Tell
something.
me.
And the things
Tell
that you
me.
have to do, I told you already, and you just
So lay in
disregarded
bed.
them. You disregarded
So you
them,
lay in bed.
and you
So
went
you
on
lay in
some
bed.
other sort of a tangent about other like
So
little
you lay
pieces
in
and bits
bed.
of nonsense. I told you how to do it.
So you
and
lay in bed. So you lay in bed.
Yeah.
And but when you're in between wakefulness, whatever that is, can you describe that? And sleep, you pull a rope and then you come out of your body.
Yes.
That's
Now
not something that no one can ever
That's fine.
understand.
That's fine. That's fine. Now do it. See, here's the disconnect here. You're just saying that instead of being a scientist
So
and
are you.
doing the experiment. I've done the
So have
experiment
you.
and it works. Do it.
And where did you
My
go?
issue
What did you
is that
see
the
when you
New
were in the upper
Agers are
world?
not giving me something to do. Do it. Stop just sitting around and
I
meditating
have.
and believing things. Do something. I gave you something to do. You should do it. You're asking me to show you something that you... Yo, 10 fucking minutes ago, you said, I don't believe in astral projection. Now you have astral projected. You've lost all credibility. All credibility has gone out the window. You literally told me as I was walking into the house, literally as I was shutting my door, that you do not believe in astral projection. And now you've done it. Yeah.
I just want to see what you said, because that's not the fucking truth all the fucking time.
Yo.
You don't lay down and you pull a rope.
Yo.
That's not how I did it. You could do it from meditating. You could do it from other stuff. Like
as
Robert
I said
Monroe,
while I was sitting outside, there's numerous ways.
Like
but
Robert
one of the
Monroe
most
did.
popular ways
Explain
is
what
the
he
rope
did.
method.
Explain
I
what
didn't
he
say that
did.
was the only
Explain
method.
what he did.
That's the issue that you New Agers go through. You think that because someone doesn't agree with you, that they're saying that my ways, I'm not saying my way is the only way. I literally sat outside and said, There are numerous ways, but one of the most popular way is the rope method. It's not the only way. So sure, you may have done astral projection
So how do
another
I know
way.
what
There's
you're saying
numerous
is the
ways.
truth? You have gone on a tangent about how you don't like how other people can communicate with someone else without evidence, and you still haven't given me
they are
evidence.
not giving us anything repeatable. They are just expecting us to believe it. That's the problem. They didn't do what I did for you and gave you
Like
some
you
instruction.
expect people to
They
believe
just
you.
say, just believe it and take it or leave it. That's it. Take it or leave it. Either you believe me that I channel these entities or you don't. They don't say, you know what? I get that you're skeptical. Try this tonight and see what happens. And if nothing happens, record your results and try. And then after 6 or 7 tries, if nothing happens, then I'll say, okay, maybe it's a little bit of a bullshit. Okay, you got something going on there. But try it. Be a scientist. It's not science if you try it one time and you fail and you're like, oh, well, science doesn't work now. No. Go over your results, see where you went wrong, see if anything, and then try again. I gave you instructions.
And so if you think that you astral projected and you found somebody locked in a cage, the police department would believe you?
Well, no, they wouldn't believe me, but I would do something other than send my prayers. That's bullshit. Abuse children,
and how would you save them?
assuming that was true, that she really did see abuse children. I didn't say I would save them. I didn't say that I would save them. What do you mean, what's the point? What you claim to have seen abused children, and why are you jumping around? Why are we jumping around to different points?
What are you going to do differently?
Why are we jumping around? Why can't we?
What would you do differently than the woman that went to the Buckingham Palace? What would you do differently to save them?
I would have maybe did like a change.org petition to get an investigation started. Something. No, I wouldn't have run into the police station and said, I astral projected and then saw that the king and queen were doing this to children. Of course not. That's absolutely asinine. But I would do something other than get on live to my people or to my audience and go, guys, I just got done astral projecting. I saw some abused children. Let's all gather in prayer. Let's all sing Kumbaya and, hope that these kids just come out A-okay. I would have done a little more than that. Would it have saved them? I can't say, probably not. But I would have done more than just got on here and say, you know what? You can't do nothing. So humana, let's all hold hands. Like that doesn't do anything. That does not do anything.
So how would you prove to the police to go into the Buckingham Palace? What would you say to them? When they asked you, how did you come up with this?
Because I'm not trying to be labeled as I'm not trying to be labeled as no nut. Like I said, I would try to do like a change.org, to get mass amount of people to get them to one guy saying it is not. But if 100,000 people say, hey guys, maybe you should go check this out, it might shine some light and then they go check it out. So I would do something like that. I solo one guy wouldn't be able to do anything, especially against Buckingham Palace. But yeah. That's what I would do. So
you just don't like things that. So you don't like things that are different because you think the New Age spirituality is trash and paranormal research is trash. What do you mean by that? What's trash about it?
They don't provide any sort of evidence. Nothing is repeatable. And in paranormal research, they don't provide or they don't have any sort of understanding of the dead. People who do ghost hunting, people who do demonic exorcisms.
And you do?
I'm sorry?
And you do?
I do, yes. Studying of the dead, studying of necromancy, studying of necrosophy is integral to many different occult systems. I don't know any occultist who can't have in-depth conversation on the dead or how the dead work and how the dead operate. So
what do you know about necromancy and the deceased? Where do they go when they die? Where do you go when you die?
You go to the underworld. And when you go to the underworld,
what evidence do you have for that?
Shadowland. Going to the underworld. And if you would like evidence to go to the underworld, you can get instruction on shamanic journeying. Visit my website. I have the shamanic journeying course on there. And it's free. You can take that, learn how to shamanic journey, and go to.
What did you see when you were there?
Spirits, beings, Deities. I mean, like,
What
what do
do
you
they
mean?
look like? What do they look
They're
like?
they're not uniform. They're not like, it's not like humans where, oh, they have a head and two arms and legs and, everything else you just have to leave up
Describe
to
it then.
imagination. There's no uniform look.
What
So
does this
like,
place look like? There's no visual. There's no
it's a
visuals.
very,
It's just
yeah,
audio.
it's a, no. It's a very gloomy, dark, very dreary place. It has like a very bluish purple haze to it. And this is mainly because this is the place where your soul is going to rest. So there's not supposed to be any beauty or anything there. This is a place of rest and repose. So it's very dark, very gloomy. There's not much to see. It's pretty much like a vast openness of like barren land, and the soul goes there
So
to rest.
is this some type of philosophical hell?
No, this is not hell at
Purgatory?
all.
What are you talking about?
No, this is I'm answering your question. You asked me what does it look like. That's what I'm talking about. I'm answering your question. No, it's not hell.
I know, and then I asked you another
It's a place
question.
of,
You're describing the absence of life. You're describing the absence of love and happiness and
yeah.
emotions, which will depict to me the philosophical term and religious terms of hell. So you have an
Okay.
underworld, an upper world, and a middle world. So this would
Right.
consequently make me believe that you're talking about hell.
No.
What evidence that you have that you went there?
You're introducing a Christian concept into a holy shamanic
I'm just
conversation.
asking
So
you a question. Is this hell?
no, it is not hell. It's not hell. I don't
Okay.
know why it gives you
So what's
images
the
of
upper
hell. There's
world?
no burning. There's no suffering. There's no lashing of teeth. There's no wailing. There's no separation from God. There's none of the Christian concepts of hell. I can't speak for the New Age concepts of hell, but there's no Christian concepts of hell. So I don't understand why you would think it's hell simply because there's no love there. There's plenty of places where there's no love. Yeah, that's what it looks like. But no, it's not hell. What is the upper
I didn't
world?
say
The
that it was.
upper world
I didn't
is
say.
the realm of the angelics. It's the realm of our
Oh
ascended
my God!
master.
So you're
It's the
fucking
realm
describing
of,
heaven and hell.
no, I'm
You just
describing
did
the
the
upper world.
angelics.
Yes, just because angels don't belong to Christianity. I'm going to need you to get out of the Christian,
No
but angels
shit.
don't
No
belong to
shit.
Christianity.
No shit. No
So
shit.
no, don't you can't tell me that I'm describing heaven and hell and I'm talking about angels and I say
You
that angels don't
are.
belong. You can't do that.
So there's
Angels
an
do not
upper and
belong to
lower.
Christianity. Just because I'm describing a realm where angels habitate does not mean I'm talking about heaven.
Oh my
And just
God.
because I'm talking about a realm where there's no
I
love
don't
does not
think
mean I'm
you know
talking
what
about
you're
hell.
fucking talking about either.
I'm literally answering your question and then you go, "Oh, so you're talking about heaven." And I say no, and then you go, "You don't know what I'm talking about." That like, you're not making any sense. And you don't let me answer questions. You throw out a question and then you try to trip me up, but you're getting upset that you're not tripping me up. And because I
I don't
really
care
do this
whether to
shit,
trip you up or
and
not. I don't give a shit if
you
I
do,
trip you up or not.
you do. That's why
I'm
you
just
keep
asking
jumping
you
around. You
questions
keep jumping around. You can't stay on one topic. You ask one
because I
question,
know what you're
you
saying
get
is
an answer,
bullshit.
and then prove it bullshit. Instead of jumping
By
around, prove it
what
bullshit.
you're talking about, you don't have
Okay?
no evidence to prove it.
I told you to go and do it. Again, you are
That's your
trying to,
testimony.
you should know, as someone who claims to be
That's
spiritual,
your
you should
testimony.
know that you can't
That's your
show
testimony.
no, stop it, stop it.
That's your testimony.
Here's what happens. You start hearing
That's your
truth
testimony.
and you can't handle it. So you're trying to talk over me.
That's
You are
not my
trying
truth.
to
That's
get
your
me
truth.
to show you
That's not
physically
my truth.
something
That's your
spiritual.
truth.
You should know
That's
that
not
you
my
can't take something
truth.
spiritual
That's
and
your
show it
truth.
physically.
That's your
No,
truth.
that is the
That's your
truth.
truth.
That is the truth.
Your
And you
truth.
know that. And the fact that you're doing this
No.
right now, being juvenile, being
No.
immature, is because you know that
That's
you're
your
hearing the
truth.
truth and you can't handle it. That's
How
the
do
problem
you
here.
know what you can't tell me what's true to me. That's your fucking truth. That's not my truth.
No, that's not how truth works. I'm sorry. That's not how truth
Yes, it
works.
does.
I'm sorry. That's not how
Yes,
truth
it
works.
is.
No, it's
You
not.
can't tell
That's
me
like
what I
me
believe
saying
in.
on the wall back there, that's artwork. That's a
It
truth.
is stupid. It's a poster. It's a drawing.
Exactly.
It is art.
That's a truth. Someone out there could say,
Yeah.
nope, that's not art. Nope, that's your truth.
But being
No.
in the upper world and the underworld from you astral
and falsities
projecting could have
are
been you
two
one time doing
separate things
PCP. How do I
that
know that?
by you
How do I
going and
know
going
that you're
to do
high?
it, by you going to do it. You are trying
But
to
you
get me,
can't tell
and you
me what
should
your
know,
truth
as a
is.
spiritual person, you should know that you can't physically show something spiritual. The only way to get any proof of something spiritual is for you to, what? What have I been saying this whole entire fucking live? Do something. You
You
have to
can't
do
tell me
something
your truth
spiritual
is my
to get
truth.
something spiritual. You are trying to sit
That's not
here and
spiritual,
get
telling
me
other
and
people that your truth is
123 other people
theirs.
to believe that you're doing something spiritual by not doing something
I didn't
spiritual.
say I was doing
Sorry,
something spiritual.
don't
You
believe
said
it.
that you were.
Don't believe it. You
You
gotta
can't
do
tell me what's
something.
true.
I can tell you
You
what's
can't
true
tell
because
me
that's how
what's
truth
true.
works. That's how truth works.
How?
That's how truth works. If
So
something
the
is true,
truth
then
is,
something
so
else must
there's
be a
the
lie.
truth there. So what
That's
do
how
you
truth
say to
works.
agnostics? What do you say to atheists? How would you convert an
What is their
atheist to
question?
believe the?
I
I'm trying
wouldn't
to
try to convert
talk.
an
How would
atheist.
you? How? Let me finish. So you said that your
Okay,
truth is the truth, that you can
right.
astral project, and there's the upper world, and there's there's a lower world and a middle world. How would you explain that to someone like Richard Dawkins or Neil deGrasse Tyson or a physicist or a doctor or an atheist or someone that practiced Satanism or a Christian or a Catholic? How do
This
you try to push your truth on someone else?
the same way
How's
we're
that
doing it right
true?
now. That's how I would explain
No,
it. We would sit here and have a
no.
conversation, and they would ask me questions, and then I would answer their questions. That's how I would explain it.
That's not the truth just because you say it.
No, you asked me how would I explain astral projection to Richard
You just
Dawkins and Neil
said
deGrasse
that your
Tyson,
truth
and
is
that's how
the
I would explain
truth
it.
and that I'm denying it.
No, what I'm saying about astral projection and stuff is the truth. That's the truth.
You said that what you said is the truth and I'm denying it and I know
Yeah,
it.
and we're talking about astral projection. See, like, this is what you do. I'm not talking about the truth about apples or the truth about Toyota cars.
I don't
We're
know what you're
talking
talking about
astral
was the
projection.
truth.
And so therefore, I'm talking about the truth about astral projection.
I
Stay
don't know that it's the
on the
truth.
topic. It is the
I
truth.
am.
And if you want to know
How?
if it's the truth, do the work. Do
What
astral
if I don't believe
projection,
in it?
and then I can't help you there. I can't make you believe in it. You just got to do it. You got to
So
do
it's
it.
not the truth.
That,
Not everybody
what?
does
That
it.
doesn't mean anything. If
It
I tell
does.
you all you got to do that behind this door is $1 million, just open it. And
Yeah.
you're like, no, I don't believe you, bro. No. And I go, okay, that's fine. You don't have to believe me, but just open the door. And you just refuse to open the door. That's not my problem. I'm telling you
Oh, so you want me
got
to
to
have
do something
faith.
to know that $1
You want me
million
to have
is
faith.
there. You got to open the door. So open that
You want
door
me to
and
have
you'll
faith.
see. No, I'm telling you to prove it. Open the door. Having faith is saying there's $1 million behind this door. Don't open it. Just believe me. That's having faith. I'm telling you to open the door. What are you talking about? You have been doing logical fallacy after logical fallacy after logical fallacy. It's one thing if you don't believe in spirituality and if you don't believe in occultism, that's fine. I can't change that.
But I'm trying
But you
I'm
are
trying to do
claiming
what
to be
you
a spiritual
do.
person and you are falling at every point. And like,
Yeah, but isn't this what you do to other individuals that claim these
no,
fallacies that you're talking? Yes, you do. You're being a
no,
hypocrite. You go on to other people's
I
lives and
yes,
you don't believe what they say because they don't have
right?
evidence for it. I'm
Exactly.
doing what you do to
And I
them.
asked for the evidence and they either present it or they don't. I gave you the evidence and you were like, oh, well, now
That's
let's
not
break this
evidence.
down. And it's like, yo,
Your
go and do
testimony
the
isn't
work.
evidence.
Do
Your
the
testimony
work.
isn't evidence.
You have to do the
Your
work. It's a spiritual
testimony
thing. You
isn't
should know
evidence.
this. You should know
Your
this.
testimony isn't evidence.
I know that. So go and do the work. You asked me
So it's
for
not the
instructions.
truth.
I gave you instructions. Go and do the work.
Your personal philosophies, your personal spiritual work, your personal things that you do in your home isn't evidence. You saying it
But what
doesn't make
happens
it
if?
factual.
Okay, so then, let's say that you did do the instructions. What happens if it works? Now what? What happens now? What happens now? Is it
And what if it
magically
doesn't?
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's suddenly the truth? Get the fuck
What if
out
it
of here.
doesn't?
It's been the truth
What if
all
it
along.
does- what
You
if
just
it
never did the
doesn't?
work. You just never did the work. There's been $1 million behind the door all along. You just never opened the door. Like, I'm sorry, you didn't open the door. You got to open the door to see the $1
But
million.
this is off. This is solely off of your own personal, private testimony with no one
No, this
around
is
to
not
prove that it's
UPG. As
actual
I said, this
truth
is one of the most popular methods of that. This is not
to
UPG.
you.
This is one of the most,
To
no,
you.
not to me, to occultism. No, stop it. Stop with this
Who?
new age, you and this individual nonsense. No, this is occultism as a
It's
whole,
you.
not
It's
just
just you.
Google astral
It's just you.
projection. And the top method you will find is the rope method. You don't have to, like, you
Okay.
are just refusing to do any research. You're just refusing to do it. Go and prove it to yourself. Google astral projection, and I promise you, on the first page of Google, and I mean, I don't know how many results appear on one page, like 12 or 20 or something like that. Half, if not more, if half of those websites have more than one method, I promise you, one of those methods will be the rope method. It's not me. This is occultism in general. You wouldn't know that because you don't do any external research. Everything you do is this internal, I just channel everything and it all comes from the cosmos and all of the universe. Stop it. You need to do external research.
By your testimony.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
By your own testimony.
And it would be your testimony too if you would test it, but you don't want to test. So you're just going to end up going in circles.
Every person that has to experience this enlightenment and awakefulness has to go through what you go through to prove enlightenment.
No, there are numerous paths of occultism. There's innumerable paths of occultism, but they're all legitimate. They all have foundational structures. They all have evidential things that if I want to join voodoo and I want to know if voodoo is real, I can get a ritual from a Hunganeswoge and they'll say, do this ritual. I'll do the ritual and it'll work or it won't. And then I'll know if voodoo is real or not. I'm not just going to go, well, this isn't real. And then they go, well, did you do any voodoo? Well, no. Well, how do you know? It's just not real. That's what you're doing. You're literally just, your testimony is that voodoo is real. Okay, maybe try some voodoo. Nope, your testimony. It's like, maybe stop being so close-minded and go and do some voodoo. And then
I'm not being close-minded. I'm just going off of what you in your personal philosophy.
You're taking what I said and blowing it up to some immense proportion. What I do is when I go on
because there's no concrete evidence about what you're talking about.
Channel until you do the work, because this is spiritual. This is spiritual. You should know this as a spiritual person. This is why this is so mind-boggling to me. You're a spiritual person and you're trying to get me to give you physical evidence of something spiritual. I expect this from some scientific, logical, like agnostic, not from a spiritual person. But yet here we are. If you're spiritual, you should know that spiritual things require you to do work. I can't show you something spiritual like I can show you this. I can't say my lighter is white. See, if you want to know if my lighter is white, you're going to have to do something to see that the lighter is white. That's how spiritualism works. You should know that. But
why do you perceive that I should know that if I'm a beginner?
Because you're a spiritual person. I mean, that's another thing. That should be a foundational thing. It should just be common sense that spiritual things cannot be, we don't walk around and see dead people. We don't, I mean ghosts, not literal dead bodies, but ghosts, because they're spirits. They're not physical. They're spirits. We can't walk around and we can't see angels. We can't see demons unless we do magic and
but you can,
because they're spirits.
But you can.
Yes, I just said unless we do magic and things like that, because they are spirits.
But you can.
Can't just walk around. Yes, unless
what do
we do
angels
magic.
Look like?
Huh?
What do angels look like?
They all don't look the same. It depends on the angel. But they generally, there is no generally. But the last one that I worked with didn't really have any sort of a human
So
form.
Jesus isn't real?
What?
So Jesus isn't real?
No, Jesus is real. What? Why? How did you make that correlation? What? Huh?
I'm just asking you another question.
No, Jesus is real. Or was
So you're
real.
a Christian?
No. What? Just because you believe Muslims believe Jesus is real? That doesn't
So
mean, but that doesn't mean anything.
what religion do you practice?
I don't really follow any sort of religion, but if I had to put a title on it, it probably Hermeticism, I would say. But I don't really follow
And
a
what's that?
religion.
And what's that?
Hermetics. It's
Yeah.
an ancient philosophy given to us by Hermes Trismegistus, which is a philosopher from Greco-Egyptian times. Sort of the fusion of the Greek Thoth and the Greek Hermes and the Egyptian Thoth fused together to create the Hermetic philosophy and
So
things
you
like that.
believe in
So,
Greek mythology?
not necessarily. It's Greco-Egyptian, so it's Greek influence on Egyptian mythos and Egyptian life, but
And
mainly
how many religions
for
are there?
political.
So you
Sorry, go ahead.
believe out of how many religions are there in the world?
I don't know. I'm not a religious historian. I don't know. A lot.
There's around 5,000 currently. So you believe
Hmm.
in one out of all of them. How do you know that's the
Well,
truth?
as I said, I don't follow any sort of religion, and it's not
Or
the
spiritual
truth.
practices?
Right. Yeah. No, it's not the truth. It's one path
It's your truth.
to the divine. No, it's not my
It's
truth.
your truth.
There's millions of occultists out there. It's not my truth. There's million. That's
So
a new
people
age
that
thing.
believe, people that believe it, people that are Christian or Catholic that believe in the gods that they believe in are wrong.
No, they're not wrong. Jesus exists just as Zeus exists, just as Buddha exists, just as Hera exists, just as Guan Yu exists. Like, we gotta
So why
remove
there's so
this
many?
Abrahamic. I don't know. I'm not some religious historian. I'm an occultist. I don't know why there's a million gods. I don't know. I'm an occultist.
And what's that mean?
I practice the occult. I study the hidden knowledge and the hidden arts. Excuse me. And I practice the wisdom found therein.
Mm. So
So,
basically, like a philosopher.
um, I don't like. I mean, I know because I don't really study philosophy. I mean, I guess I study occult philosophy, but I don't really study like Nietzsche and Plato and so like I couldn't sit here and have like a philosophical conversation like, oh well, yeah, so Plato and his Republic is 1545. Like, I can't do all that. So no, I wouldn't call myself a philosopher. But I'm an occultist, a mystic, a magician, a witch.
A
So
witch.
yes.
So what do you do? How do you use your powers?
For whatever I deem worthy. I was taught that I am the magician or I am the witch, so it is my will that be done. So whatever I want, but don't take that the wrong way. I'm not out here running around doing curses on everybody. As I said earlier in my live, most of my magic these days is not material. It's more for spiritual things, more for esoteric, behind the scenes sort of things, conversing with spirits or helping clients. I have a lot of clients from my shamanic practice. But yeah, I do witchcraft, among other things.
So you're a witch, occultist. What
So,
else?
okay, so occultist is the catch-all term because there's multiple practices that I am a member of. So there's witchcraft, there's neo-shamanism, there's necromancy, there's grimoire tradition, and I guess hoodoo, but I don't really practice hoodoo like as a full practice. So I guess I won't count that. So those four things, but rather than rattle off those things, I just use the catch-all term occultist, so that way I don't have to say all those things. But yeah, those are all the practices that I go
So you're a
or
lot
that I
of
do.
things.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to find out the truth.
No, no. As I was saying earlier, one of the issues with the New Age and the paranormal is the lack of continued education. That once you're done learning how to meditate, that there's other things to learn how to do. So once I'm done with witchcraft, there's other practices out there, and you're never done with witchcraft. But like once I feel as though I've learned what I could from witchcraft, There's shamanism, there's Grimtrad, there's Western esotericism, there's Eastern esotericism, there's Tao of the Left, there's the Javanese paths, there's Hindu paths, there's Gnostic paths. There's much, much more out there. So, and a lot of this stuff, you can't just learn from books. You have to be an initiate. So you have to get licencia to learn. So you kind of have to join a lot of these things to learn anything that they teach. So I went down those paths.
Yeah. What is that?
I don't know. I'll get it.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh wow, there's a lot of people in here. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you're welcome. Yeah,
Holy
you're
shit.
welcome.
I think it's me. Oh my God. Why is everyone so oppressed? It's
Yeah.
interesting Q&A. Necromancy. You claiming to bring back the dead? No, I can't bring back the dead. No, it's.
I really like how all these people think that just because I am not, don't have some type of vernacular that you do, and I'm not prepared for this, that I'm intelligent. It's so irritating because you try to fit yourself as a human, some type of box with some type of title. And well, I know this and I've studied this and I know we don't know shit. Humans haven't known shit since we've been fucking facilitated on this fucking planet. If we did, we would be coexisting together in some type of utopia. We constantly think that we know, well, it's the Illuminati, it's the government, it's religion, it's this, it's that. When are we going to, for one, take care of the earth? And two, take care of each other. Instead of trying to facilitate religion and philosophies and indoctrinations and ideologies and all this shit, how about we take care of each other first in our mental health and then take care of the planet that we live on and then go from there? Because nothing's ever going to change if we're not all on the same page. That's what I believe.
I do agree with that, but I don't think that that's ever going to happen. I don't think we're ever all going to. I think if there's two people in the world, they're going to figure out how to hate each other in some way. So I don't think we're ever going to achieve utopia, which is why the New Age is nonsense, where, the aliens are not going to come and talk to us until we're all unified and we're all one. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Why do you hate what they say so much?
I don't hate what they say. It's just nonsense. They can say whatever. I don't hate what they say. It's just bullcrap. It's absolute shite.
But do you know how absurd you sound talking about that you come out of your physical body and you come out to astral projection, which is like your some type of spiritual realm, and you travel through different dimensions of beings, and you don't think that you sound absurd?
To the uninitiated, of course I sound absurd. If I didn't know anything about esotericism, occultism, mysticism, yeah, of course I would sound absurd. But to an initiate or to someone who's on the road to learning about these things, studying these things, no, not at all. This is par for the course. Like I don't know any actual occultist, any witch, any sorcerer, even if they don't practice astral projection, who would look at me side-eyed if they heard what you called my testimony. But if they heard my experience or they heard me talking about the rope method, they'd probably be like, oh yeah, I heard about that 30 years ago when I was first starting out, because it's a popular method. But yeah.
So you expect people to believe in what you say.
No.
And then that's why you don't believe in what other people say?
No, I expect people to assume I am lying. Assume I am some scam artist and I am trying to scam you out of your money, and you need to go, which is why I gave you the instructions to go and do, so that way you can verify it for yourself. I didn't say just pay me money and I'll do it for you. Go and do it yourself and then report back. That's how I operate. You should assume that I am, and that's how I operate on my website. That's how I operate on my forum, both of them, occultworld.net and wizardforums.com, as well as studioarcanist.com. That's how I am. You should assume that I am lying and that I am trying to get money out of you, and you should test my words and go and make sure that I am telling the truth. And
what about people that rose from the dead?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Like Jesus. How would you explain that?
I don't
The
know.
testimonies of
I don't know.
people
I
in
don't know how
biblical
he rose
terms.
from the dead. I'm not a Christian, so I don't know how he rose from the
But
dead.
I
I
want you
guess
to
he's the
tell
son of
me
God.
because you know about all this stuff. You know about
Yeah,
all this
but
stuff.
he didn't do it with necromancy. I know about necromancy. I'm not a god, so I can't tell you how gods rise from the dead or anything like that. But he didn't
Well,
do
how do
it
people
through
rise from the dead
necromancy.
then?
They don't. You can't like that's not a magical. That's not an occult thing. People aren't getting raised from the dead. And necromancy is working with dead spirits, not dead bodies, and literally zombies like it's a Marvel movie and some horror film on a Friday night. It's not like that. You're working with spirits of the dead. When you are nail salons at a lot of, because I get my eyebrows done, if you as most people can tell, when you go to nail salons over in the corner, they in a lot of them, I can't speak for all of them, but in a lot of Asian owned nail salons in the corner, they have those Buddhas with the incense sticks and stuff like that. If you get there when they're just opening up, they're doing ancestor veneration. That's a form of necromancy. They are literally honoring the people who came before them, their mother and father and grand who came before them, so that way they can help them with their business and they can help them with their love life and their health life and all this other stuff. That's a simple form of necromancy. They're petitioning the dead, people who are no longer with us, for intercession in our everyday life. So I guess in many respects, working with the saints in Catholicism could be considered a simple form of necromancy because they're no longer with us, and you're calling on them to intercede on your behalf. A necromancy isn't working with the dead in the sense of raising the dead like some Skyrim video game, but working with dead spirits and working with spirits of the dead and deities of the dead. So
So how do they do that?
it
With
depends on this.
incense?
I'm sorry.
Do they do it with incense or their energy? A collective of their energy.
Um, well, neither. You can't just do
How
it
do
with
you
just incense, and you
contact the
can't.
dead? How do you contact
Yeah,
the dead with incense and people
yeah,
praying?
yeah. I'm about to go into that. So no, you don't just use just incense, and you don't use just prayer. So necromancy, so it depends on the system that you come from. So the necromancers of Wudan would be different than the necromancers of the Kumantong. So practices would be different, but the underlying basis would be the same. So I can only tell you how I do it in my practice. So in my practice, when I'm doing necromancy, and let's not do it in my home, let's do it in a graveyard. So let's really go out and get our hands dirty, do some real witchcraft, right? So when I go to do graveyard work, the first thing I do is I petition either my ancestors, which should always be your first stop when doing necromancy, or I petition a gatekeeper, or sorry, excuse me, the psychopomp. I'll go through a psychopomp. My favorite is Bune. He's from the Goetia, which you can use, I don't know, Set, Osiris, Hecate, any sort of psychopomp, Anubis, whatever. And I would petition that spirit to then contact the gatekeeper of that cemetery that I'm going to work through and get permission for me so I can work in that graveyard. So that way, when I go into the graveyard, I don't get any sort of negative attachments, any sort of negative spirits, that the gatekeeper keeps everything in check and makes sure that any sort of negative entities that are in there don't bother me because I have a permission to work in his realm. Sort of like, I guess like, in like the drug world, there's like territories, and if you want to operate here, you gotta, call the boss of the local area, get permission to operate, blah blah. So sort of like that. Once I got permission from the gatekeeper, I would then enter, leave him a gift. Depending on the tradition you're coming from, it can be coins, it can be tobacco. Most necromantic systems will tell you that spirits like tobacco and rum. Brands don't really matter, but tobacco and rum, the more expensive, the better. Most systems will agree to that. But you leave the gatekeeper coins, and then you enter the graveyard. And then from there, I would then begin to look for the grave of the site that I want to work at. So the site of the spirit that I want to summon. So from there, I would then either use my bones. I have bones that I use to contact spirits. And then I would then get back in touch with my psychopomp or my ancestors, and I'll cast the bones and ask them, which one of these people in this graveyard do you think would be willing to work with me? And through the bones, they would lead me to whatever site. I'll go to that site. I'll cast the bones again, ask that person, do you want to work with me? If they say yes, I begin the ritual of reawakening. So I would then begin to conjure them using witchcraft and, I guess if I'm doing it through witchcraft and not grimtrad, I guess I'd use the witchcraft way. But I would conjure them through witchcraft to bring them back. I'd stir them, and then I would create a petition to have them be seated into a vessel, which I have a new vessel coming. I'm actually waiting for it from Spiritus Arcanum. And if they agree, then we sigilize and ensorcel the vessel. The spirit gets seated inside, and I thank that spirit. I leave a gift for the spirit, and then on the way out, I thank the gatekeeper, and then I'm done. So that is a full-blown necromantic ritual condensed. So
witchcraft.
Yes. Yeah, I have several grimoires on necromancy with rituals. Actually, the ritual of reawakening is in one of my grimoires. The thing that I would do at the grave to bring the dead, or the dead spirit, not the dead person, but the dead spirit back to be able to communicate.
So you don't believe in a God?
I believe in God.
The God?
I believe in God.
So you believe in God and you practice witchcraft. How's that plausible?
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be plausible? I don't believe in the Christian, like I don't worship the Christian God, but I believe in God. I believe in a creator being. Why would the creator being be against witchcraft? He created it. He's the creator being.
How?
How what?
How does he accept all this? How do you know that he does?
It's not that he accepts it. My view of God is that God is hands off. He doesn't care at all. If I murdered someone, God wouldn't care, because I'm not a Christian or a Muslim or a Jew. I don't have this God is like always watching us, always looking down. If I had to compare it to anything mundane, I would say God is like playing The Sims and just turning free mode on and putting the controller down and walking away. That's what I think God did.
So like the Matrix.
He created everything and put on free mode and walked away. And now he doesn't care. Or if he does care,
so like a simulation.
No. That was just an example. I think we're real. I don't think we're like in like a fake world. I think we're real, but I think God created us and then was hands off. He's like, all right, now just do your own thing. I don't think he's sitting up there like lording over us, just watching, waiting for us to pray to him and things like that.
So what paranormal research do you think is trash?
All of it. Every last piece of it. All of it comes from 19th century Victorian era spiritualism, Kardec spiritualism, which borrows a lot from voodoo. So some of those aspects might be true, but most of ghost hunting and most of paranormal research in terms of ghost hunting is fake. It's all nonsense. You can't hunt ghosts by buying a $120 radio, going into a graveyard and going, hello, is there anybody here with us? And then holding up the radio. Oh, sorry. It's called a spirit box. Holding up the spirit box and expecting the spirit to go, yes, I'm here. I was murdered 100 years ago and I've been waiting for you. Like, that's not, no. Sorry. If a ghost wants to make himself known, they'll make themselves known. They're not waiting for you to come. They're not waiting for Ghost Adventures to come and solve the case. They're not just waiting around for ghost hunters to come by, or for ghost bros or somebody on TikTok to set up their tripod and sit around and hello, is anybody here? I'm here because I want to help you. I want to solve your murder. And it's like, no, that's not how spirits work. Again, we just talked about necromancy. We just talked about the dead. I just gave you a ritual that I gave you would take me probably 25 minutes to a half hour to do that full-blown ritual. But yet John on Ghost Brothers, can walk into a graveyard and go, yeah, hello, anybody here? And get a ghost Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So all of paranormal research, it's fun, and it's fun entertainment. It makes great entertainment. It's fun to, oh, was that a ghost over there? Oh, I'm scared. Ooh. It's fun. It makes great horror movies. James Wan has made an entire career off of this type of stuff, not necessarily ghost hunting. But I mean, he's more of a Saw type of thing, but like it makes great entertainment, but it's not real. It doesn't make any sort of reality. And like, I scroll through my live feed here and I see these people doing these ghost hunts and, out here in like abandoned buildings and, thinking that they're really contacting a ghost or something like that. And it's like, that's not how you get in touch with anybody dead.
So you could talk to specific people if you do your paranormal practices right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can call on specific dead people. Yeah. It's best if you go to the grave site and do it where they're resting, of course, but you don't necessarily need to. You can do, like from my house, I could call on someone who died, previously. I would need certain items and certain tools and things like that, but yeah.
And how do you know it's them?
You would validate and verify. If it's a person of the dead, that gets hard because you don't know because they were a living person, so you can't know what someone else always knew. So one way that I have devised, and my mentor always told me, is to, depending on the time period that they come from, question them about that. So if the spirit appears and they claim, yes, I am John who died in 1825, and find out, ask questions about the area around that time, and then, okay, thank you, dismiss the spirit, go and verify and validate and see if those things really existed during that time. Who was the governor of your, or who was the mayor, or wherever that spirit lived, who was the ruler of your town or your principality or whatever at that time. That, a person should know that. Like, you shouldn't be confused about who was the ruler of your area, during your life. So they should know that, and that should be historical evidence. So you should be able to verify that. So that's generally how I do it when it comes to spirits of the dead, because that information is generally not readily available, like an angel or a demon or a planetary spirit or something along those lines.
How do you know it's not someone pretending to be them?
That's why you validate, and that's why you verify. So you have to go through a series of questions to make sure. And then once you're satisfied, then now if you're satisfied and it's still dubious, then that's up to the practitioner to continue to validate.
And where do these individuals live? In the netherworld?
Where do the spirits live? They live in the astral.
Yeah.
And then they come from wherever realm, whatever kind of spirit it is. If it's a spirit of the dead, then they come from the underworld. If it's a demon, then it would come from the underworld. If it's a planetary spirit, it would come from the upper world. If it was an elemental, it would come from the middle world. It would just depend on the type of spirit and the type of being that it is. So.
And you know all this by experience. How many years have you been doing this?
18. I crossed 18 in September. 18 years. I started when I was 13 years old, and then I was lucky enough to find a mentor in High Priestess Caroline Graham of the Elderwood clan when I was 14, and from 14 to 18, she trained and initiated me into the first degree mysteries. So.
Then where did she learn her stuff from?
From her elder and her elders within the coven.
Wow. So it's a coven of witches.
The one that trained me, yes. And they were a coven, yes. I'm not a member of the coven, but yes, they were a coven.
So you're a warlock?
No, that's not a term that's used anymore. That's a term that died out in the 70s. Because the etymology of the word warlock means like oath breaker and liar. So we've done away with that word. Most males who practice occultism call themselves witches, or they call themselves occultists, or depending on the tradition or system, you might have another title, Hungana Swoge, Polero Santero, Kimadero, things like that. So.
And you don't believe these individuals that you see on lives you said that you don't like how they talk about love. What do you mean by that?
No, I don't care that they're talking. No, I don't care that they talk about love. I don't like the fact that these New Agers come on like alive, and they make it seem like love is all we need. Love is the answer. Love is the way, and love, and just stepping into your love and stepping into your power, and just embracing the humanity is how we're going to contact the aliens and angels and dead people and all this other stuff.
So don't you do all this necromancy and your witchcraft and your philosophy of honing into dimensions out of love?
No way.
So why do you do it?
I do a ritual. I do a ritual. Like
what do you do it for? What's your purpose?
Whatever like, do you know what, like, I would do do you know what a ritual is? Like, if I did a love ritual, I'm doing it for love. Or if I'm doing a money ritual, I'm doing it for money. I do the ritual for whatever I need. Like, I don't know how to answer that question unless you just don't know what a ritual is. There's no just.
I know what a ritual is.
There's money rituals, or there's love rituals, so I do it for whatever my need is. If I need money, I'll do a wealth ritual. If I need a girl, I'll do love ritual. If I need to hurt somebody, I'll do a cursing ritual. If I need to contact the spirit, I'll do an evocation ritual. Just whatever my need is what the ritual is done for. So.
So you don't believe that love is the greatest energy in the world? The planet, the solar system? Why?
Why would it be? Simply because we humans have it? So what?
What is love to you?
Because we watch movies, and at the end of the movie, the hero wins. And it says love wins, because when we were kids, every TV show that we watched, the bully always lost, and it was always friendship that always won out. Is that why we believe that way? Because I feel like the love is the answer, and I feel like that's a very Western thing. I feel like you go to India, it might not necessarily be that way, even though that's where all these New Age practices come from. They all come from this Vedic amalgamation, theosophic, hermetic, contraptions. But I feel like if we went to China, it wouldn't be that way. If we went to Russia, it wouldn't be that way. It wouldn't be this love is the universal thing. So,
well, you're just talking about different cultures. Of course, they wouldn't think like Westerners.
Yes, that's literally what I just said. I said I think that's a very Western thing, and if we go elsewhere, it wouldn't be that way.
So you don't think people can be all one? That's your issue.
No, it's not an issue.
And you want everybody.
I don't have an issue with it. I just don't think it's a practical. It's nice to dream and to want and to wish for it, but it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Why?
Because we're human and we're flawed. So hate exists. So it's just always going to be a thing.
Have you ever been in love?
Yes, I've been in love.
With who?
My exes.
And do you think love is unconditional?
Yeah. At least it should be. I mean, I can't say that love is the same for everybody. There might be some people out there who love with conditions, but I say love should be unconditional. Excuse me.
And these are all your personal beliefs. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you make a living off of this?
No. I have a regular full-time job. I'm an analyst for a bank.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm missing a lot of this stuff.
It's just mostly hate about me and how much they think that I don't know what I'm talking about and that I'm fucking stupid.
Well, no, we don't want to spread any hate here. No one's stupid.
And that I need to solve my inner child and I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not listening to you. I'm actually listening to you. That's the problem with the world. I mean, I don't understand like how they support you, and they're like, "Well, he's right, and I mean, I agree with you more than the people that are on your live. Like they're so hateful too. I mean, I get that I was yelling earlier, but then they're doing the same thing that we're both reiterating to each other how humans are.
Right.
Understanding. Like didn't understand what you were talking about, and you didn't understand what I was talking about. But they continue with the hate constantly over and over. She's this, she's that, he's this, he's that. It's just, I mean, me and you can argue. That doesn't mean I hate you. That doesn't mean you hate me. But
Exactly.
that's my
Exactly.
valid point. Like right here. Exactly what you're saying. We might disagree a lot. We might have argued, we might not understand each other, but the hate is constant. It's always constant. She's stupid. They don't know me, or they talk about
Right.
you. He doesn't know this. He doesn't know. My God, come on. My God.
Yeah,
It's, they don't know
I
me. They
think
don't
that
know
that's
you.
something that I need to clarify because I get accused of that a lot. Like one thing I get accused of is being a gatekeeper, and people because I'm always coming at New Agers and the paranormal. Because even though I'm sort of new to TikTok, I've only been able to go live for like the last month. I'm not new to sharing occultism and teaching online. I've been doing it since 2010. So I'm like I get called a gatekeeper a lot because I do this. I get into debates with New Agers and even with novice witches who come into occultism with this very charmed esque type of a view on witchcraft. Oh, there is there's all this personal gain and you can't do magic for yourself and all this other stuff. And I have to try to get them to challenge their own beliefs and understand that there's a reason why what you're saying is wrong. It's not just because I believe what you're saying is wrong. There's an actual esoteric reason why you're wrong, and here it is. And instead of taking that, and even if they don't agree, just taking it and learning from it, they accuse me of being a gatekeeper. I'm not like I don't think people at least within occultism, I don't think people really understand what a gatekeeper is. A gatekeeper keeps people out. You can't come in here.
Mhm.
That's what a gatekeeper does. I don't tell people you cannot practice magic. You cannot do this. Go away now. I say, hey, I don't know what it is you're doing over there, but it's not magic. Come over here because over here we're doing magic. I'm welcoming people in, trying to tell people over here is where we're doing magic. I'm not gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is keeping people out. I'm not keeping people out. I'm trying to get people to come in and do actual occultism, but it requires you to do it. So I've gotten a bit of like a reputation of being like a hate monger or like a
Yeah.
gatekeeper, and like I'm pushing my beliefs on other people. I'm actually not. I don't try to push grimtrad or hermeticism or witchcraft on anybody. I try to get people to answer how it is that you arrived at your belief, whatever that belief is, which generally it's esoteric or occultic because that's where I don't debate religion or I don't debate science or things like that. I stick to my own practices, and they just can't. So
I hate that ideology. Like like people, then they're like, they retract what they say. At least I'm honest. At least I say if I'm loud or argumentative, I can own it. But some
right,
people, I hate that. They're like, oh, well, now she's blaming us. No, you said it. You are the one dictating to me that I'm being evil to him and berating him. But then they turn around and talk about me and you,
yeah,
and then someone else talks about you or me, and it's just hypocrisy at its finest. It's constant just hypocritical crap.
yeah,
That's what I'm actually tired of being on earth. That's the truth. I'm tired of humans. I'm tired of it all. Just It's just trash.
yeah.
Like we
No, I
live on
mean,
a planet that we don't even take care of it. We have less viewers because we're not arguing. It's ridiculous. They live on a planet that they don't care for, and they want more and more and more and more. They don't clean up their trash. They don't care about people in other countries. It's just ridiculous. And me saying that I know what they feel, that's hypocritical of me too. But I'm just sick of being here. Nobody wants to like move forward. to even try to do something different on this planet. I'm sick of
Right.
it. It's just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
when are we going to all wake up and try to do something different?
Yeah. I
We're
don't.
we're all just we're just all just titles and leashes and in boxes and stuff. We can't, like me and you argued in the beginning. We couldn't even get along. Like, what's wrong with humanity that we all had to be right? Is that the issue?
I mean, truth is objective. So I don't. I mean, I don't know. There's if there's truth, then something has to be a lie, and I can't speak for other people. I can only speak for myself. If
Wait.
I know the truth and I hear someone else telling the lie, then I need to say something. I can't just, oh well, let them do their thing. It's one thing if they believe the lie and they just keep it to themselves and they do their own thing in their own home and they don't ever try to share it. But when you get on the internet and you try to share it with other people and you want to bring other people into your delusion, I have to say something. So
Like, no one's ever going to try to seek the truth, the actual factual truth about how the universe operates, because they
yeah.
don't care
Well, I think most people don't
whatsoever.
care. I think most people don't care. I think a lot of us do care, but I think most people don't care, which is why I said I feel like a lot of people believe or have this instant spirituality mentality which is why the new age is so popular. People want to
Yeah.
um
What?
like
I'll be out in a second.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
People want to like they just want their spirituality to be like this. They want to be spiritual without doing anything spiritual, and unfortunately, it does not work like that. You have to do
No,
spiritual
I don't
things.
think
It,
it's
it
that.
takes it takes time to be spiritual. You can't just be enlightened
It,
overnight.
it's not only that. I think people just love materialism. They just love being of this world. They love their ego. They love their money. They love their jewelry. They love their clout. They love their attention. They love being not themselves. I don't really honestly care about what people say in the chat. They can call me ill-intelligent. They can call me a bully. They can call me anything, but I know who I am on the inside. I know that I'm a good
Mm-hmm.
person. I know that I'm a loving mother. I know that I'm kind. I know that I would if someone needed food, I would feed them. I would do anything for anybody. I think the main concept, the main issue I have with people is like what you were talking about. They don't know their own truth. Don't you own how can't you own who you are? You have to be like a mimic, a replica of everybody else. Well, I want to look like Kim K. I want to have hair like this. I want to have the jewelry. I want to have this, without actually doing what you say and what I believe in, the actual work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I don't think I think most people shy away from the and even in occultism, there's been like I know on Witch Talk and Witch Twit, which is Witchcraft Twitter. A couple of weeks ago, there was a hashtag trending about bring books back because there's this notion that you don't have to read. Everything can be just channeled, and everything is everyone's own unique experience. And no, I mean, even if these two experiences from these two people disagree with each other, who cares? They're both valid. And it's like, no. And luckily, the vast majority of experienced practitioners agreed with me, and they was like, no, you need to have a foundation, and you need to be able to back up your claims. The wise man built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man built his house upon the sand. Even though that's a biblical axiom, it has so many applications throughout life. You need to have a solid foundation. You need to have that stone foundation and not that sand foundation. And too many novices come into occultism or come into witchcraft with a shaky sand-based foundation, and there is no other way to say it other than you need to do the work. It sucks, but nothing else in life, with the very few
But
exception of like nepotism, nothing else in life works by you just getting handed or you just slipping into something. Like outside of nepotism, you have to do the work,
or
But
be
you should
lucky enough
know
to be seen.
also, you should also know that, like, example of what just happened between us. We were like two bulls hitting each other in the head at first, and now we're cordially talking to each other, and then we're finding an understanding. And I
Hmm.
find beauty in that. But other people can never do that. And I'm wondering what's the purpose of even trying to get people to seek the truth? Because some people are not ready to, I don't know, coexist with each other. And I want to,
Yeah, I'm
why?
not.
It's
Yeah,
so,
that I'm not sure.
it's getting so old. Like,
Yeah, I
have
don't
your
know.
arguments at first. Have your different, I mean, dude, I mean, I don't get it. Like, I sit in this world and I sit in my room and I try to come up with, because I want to be a theoretic engineer. And I thought at some point that I could save the world through geoengineering. And I mean, it's just hopeless sometimes because nobody cares about the ocean. Nobody wants to actually clean it up. Nobody wants to put in the work.
Right.
Nobody wants to try to have some type of clean energy planet. It's just materialism. That's all people care about is materialism, money, how they look, instant gratification, and not becoming woke.
Yeah. Yeah. I do agree with that. But yeah, I don't know what the fix is to all of that. I just know that I hope that more people within the New Age and more people within the paranormal, or even just more spiritual people, people who claim just to be spiritual but not religious. I hope that more of them start to study esotericism, more of them start to study mysticism, more of them start to study occultism, and then you'll start to see that a lot of the things that I'm saying here, what's that new age? Oh, it resonates. That's what the new age loves. What resonates with me? What resonates with you? So you'll see that a lot of the things that I'm saying resonate with your energy and vibes with you and all this other stuff because it's true. When you start to read books like the three books of occult philosophy, when you start to read perspectives on initiation, when you start to read on mysticism, when you start to read Western esotericism and rituals of initiation, when you read texts like that, you'll start to see these underlying currents, how they all connect. And you'll be like, whoa, that guy was real. Like, he was really saying some shit. Like, he was really saying some shit. And, like, it's because it's the truth. It's not just stuff that I just channeled and made up and expect people to believe. It's esoteric truth. So I
Yeah.
hope more people can do that.
I think also that most people like reading the comments and reading, like, when I go into other people's
Oh, the
lives,
comments.
especially, huh?
No, sorry, I haven't been taking a look at the comments.
It's mostly negativity towards me. And I mean,
All the Christians.
this is the point that I'm trying to reiterate to the world. You, like, there's a YouTuber named Eugenia Cooney. And for example, she has an eating disorder like I do. And the constant beratement they give her is, I don't understand it. It's like I mean, I might argue, but I wasn't like trying to hurt you, spiritually. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, of
dig
course.
down deep. You get what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
the people in this live and the people on Eugenia's, I don't understand. They tell her to kill herself and they tell her you're worthless. And like the people on here
Oh my God.
are talking about me, and they don't even know what mentality I'm at, what state of growth I'm at. They don't care that if I have mental disabilities. They just feed off of being a bully. They're like, it's like food for them. They can't learn from their mistakes like I was before, being hostile towards you and then trying to like come into a commonality, but it's just constant with them. How is Eugenia or someone that has these disorders or someone that's trying to grow is going to actually grow when all of them, the majority of the world don't care?
Yeah.
It's actually more depressing when you're like, well, I have this inside me and I have a passion, because my passion is poetry. You can go on my channel, you could tell that my spirit breathes through poetry. And then you get someone that tells you to kill yourself, and then another person, and then why
Right.
is it that why is the world like that? It's just they love to kill people slowly with hate. And I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of being the victim. I'm so tired of not telling my truth, even though my voice shakes. I will constantly be myself from this moment forward to the day I pass off and go wherever I'm going to go. You like me? You don't? Tough. I want a world where we can walk outside and you're not a black guy, I'm not a mixed girl, whatever, you believe in this, you believe that. Why can't we just coexist as a human race and get along? It's like the most impossible probability that has ever existed in the world. We can go to the moon. We can have interstellar colonization. We can come out with energy saving things, but we can't get along. It's
right.
It's baffling to me how many eons and decades and eras and changes and everything that us as humans have done, we still can't do it. We still can't get along. Why? It feels like some people
because we're human.
love to.
I just
Some
think
people,
it just goes back to human nature. I just think because we're all human, it's just not gonna
I
happen.
don't think some of us are human. I think we're a mix of something else. Because there's to me, two different types of human. The humans that take the real red pill and the humans that take the blue pill willingly.
Right.
And then there's the liars that say, "Oh, I'm in the in between. I took the purple pill." You're like, no, you're either enlightened or you're not.
Exactly. Yes, I do. I mean, so I do believe that there is an in between, but yes, you either are or you are not. But the in between is like the people on the road to enlightenment. So people who are studying mysticism, studying esotericism, doing the work, and actually climbing the tree, or climbing the ladder, or whatever sort of metaphor you want to use. I do sort of look at that as sort of like an in between state. But yes, there you either are or you aren't.
And I
But
see also these comments that I'm in the dark. Let me tell you something that I went through to get real personal. I've been in the dark since I was 9 years old. My mom died in my arms. I tried to resuscitate her for 20 minutes. My mother on Valentine's Day. Every single day, did I use that to treat people like trash? No. I even though I'm argumentative, that doesn't mean I'm evil. That doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And then after that, I tragically watched my friends burn alive in a fire. Do I use that as a universe? Yeah, do I use that as like initiative to blame the universe, to blame a god or something like that? No, I don't. I use that to have something called perseverance. I use that as something as a lesson that life is short. Life is worth more than gold. Life is worth more than any poetry we can speak. Life is the enigma of the journey of enlightenment, and it's the best treasure that you can ever have in your life. That's what I value. It's never been in a dark stage. It's appreciation for what I have, and I'm grateful for it. I can die in my sleep. Do I do that? No, I don't. I woke up this morning, and I'm grateful for that. It's a gift. Life's a gift every single day.
I agree. I agree, and we
'Cause I
should
work in
appreciate
I work in sales.
appreciate that gift.
I work in sales. I sell cell phones, and the variety of people that come into my where where I work is amazing. But they all want one thing: they want to be unconditionally loved.
Mhm.
That's it, and understood.
Yeah, that is very true. And I am sorry to hear about your mother and your friends. I can only imagine what you've been going through. But we've been going here for about 2 hours, so I think I'm gonna call it here and go make some food.
Okay.
Thank you for hopping on the live. I had a great conversation, and I'll be back on tonight. I'll probably do this again tonight if anybody else wants to hop on and debate or discuss. We can certainly do that. I'll probably be on sometime this evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. something like that. But yeah, so I'm gonna end it here. And thank you guys for joining the live, and thank you for the likes and the follows. Enjoy the rest of your day.